Chapter 1347. Yiqing Luo leaned lazily into Diamo Xian's arms as she glanced sideways at Xiao Jin. Shi Shanglan is sincere toward Xiao Yi, isn't that what you wish for? Why this expression again? I'm not. Xiao Jin's arm stiffened as the paper in his hand fell onto the ground. His gaze was flustered as he didn't dare to look at Yiqing Luo's eyes. After racking his brains, he finally squeezed out an explanation. I feel that this information is too clean, so clean that it makes me suspect him even more. At least you haven't completely turned into a fool. Yiqing Luo's sleeves moved as she rolled up the paper on the ground. Her energy spread the paper flat on the table. Yiqing Luo propped her chin as she looked at Diamo Xian with a smile which didn't look like a smile. The Imperial Palace isn't safe anymore? This information was investigated by the Imperial Palace's disciples. But from the side presented in the information, Shi Shanglan was a graceful young master with a perfect image. There weren't any blemishes on him. Or perhaps, in everyone's eyes, Shi Shanglan was indeed the image presented in the information? Impossible. No one was perfect. Even if it was her, if the Imperial Palace really investigated, they would be able to find many blemishes on her or some unknown matters. Shi Shanglan's information was too clean. Just like what Xiao Jin said. Clean made people even more suspicious. It's not the Imperial Palace's problem. Diamo Xian's body leaned forward slightly as his scorching hot chest stuck onto Yiqing Luo's soft body. His chin rested on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. The image which Shi Shanglan presented to the public is exactly as the information shows. Can a person really be so perfect? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked sideways at the man beside her. The distance between them was very close. Diamo Xian's head was resting on her shoulder. Yiqing Luo's eyes. Her pink lips were imprinted on the side of Diamo Xian's face. Diamo Xian's brows arched as his peach blossom eyes were overflowing with color as he smiled. Lil Luer is so anxious? The touch on her lips was warm and silky smooth. A man actually had such a good skin. It even brought along his elegant sandalwood scent. Yiqing Luo's face flushed red as she moved her lips away and retreated backwards as she rolled her eyes at him. Stop fooling around. Diamo Xian indeed stopped messing around. But Yiqing Luo could clearly hear the man's low and hoarse laughter from time to time. Laughing till Yiqing Luo's cheeks were burning hot. Your Majesty, what do you mean? Xiao Jin seemed to be unable to endure the lovey-dovey scene in front of him. He shifted his gaze away rather unnaturally, changing the topic as he asked. He wanted to just leave the room. He didn't want to disturb Diamo Xian and Yiqing Luo's sweet moment. He also didn't want to see such a sweet scene. Such a scene was like a silver needle, ruthlessly stabbing into his heart. His mind was filled with Yan Xiaoyi's exquisite face. But he couldn't leave. This matter concerned Yan Xiaoyi. No matter what, he had to find out the truth. If Shi Shanglan was really using Yan Xiaoyi and deceiving her, he would kill Shi Shanglan before Yan Xiaoyi found out. We still need to investigate. Diamo Xian replied calmly. This sovereign can ascertain that the Imperial Palace would not falsify this information, but how could Shi Shanglan be so clean? His voice paused as his long and narrow peach blossom eyes squinted slightly as a biting cold arc flashed past. Behind him, there must be a force that can go against the Imperial Palace. Dark forces? Yiqing Luo blurted out. Chapter 1348. To tell the truth, Yiqing Luo didn't think that Shi Shanglan was related to the dark forces. Such a gentle and graceful young master, with such a good image to the outside world. Totally not in line with the dark forces style. Furthermore, Shi Shanglan pursued Yan Xiaoyi relentlessly and secretly investigated Yan Xiaoyi. Furthermore, he changed his own courtyard into the exact same style as Yan Xiaoyi's old residence. Wasn't it because they had been kidnapped when they were young, hence Shi Shanglan started to like Yan Xiaoyi? But now, knowing that Yan Xiaoyi was a member of the World Group, A student of devil class, Shi Shanglan started to have a man's ambition and goal. Yiqing Luo had always thought so. But now, hearing what Dmo Xian said, she couldn't help but felt a chill down her spine. The Dark Force's goal. It had always been her. They needed her profound jade heart to unlock the other seals on the vast water god relic. They needed her body to bear the burden of the profound jade heart. Although Yiqing Luo wasn't clear why the Dark Forces needed the god relic and her profound jade heart. But the only thing she could confirm was, to awaken the King of Darkness, the key to unlock the King of Darkness, was not only the cultivator's soul. It also required powerful strength, powerful profound energy. Shi Shanglan was a member of the Dark Forces. Then, how did he know that a few years ago, Yan Xiao Yi would be acquainted with him in the future? And specially forged into such a gentle young master image? No matter how exquisite a person's acting is, they will eventually give themselves away. Let's not beat the grass and alert the snake first, let's secretly investigate the actual situation. Dmo Xian brushed a lock of Yiqing Luo's hair as he said calmly, "The Imperial Palace will investigate, no need to be anxious." Hearing Dmo Xian's words, Yiqing Luo's anxiousness slowly dissipated. She nodded and responded softly, "Amen." As long as Dmo Xian helped, no matter how big the matter was, it could be settled. Her man was that incredible. Yiqing Luo looked at Xiao Jin as she instructed, "Jin Zi, no matter what you are thinking now, maintain your original attitude. We are now living under someone else's roof and our brother's injuries have yet to recover. The minute you act rashly, it will affect all our brothers." She understood Xiao Jin's character. After knowing that Shi Shanglan had an ulterior motive for getting close to Yan Xiao Yi, Xiao Jin wouldn't be able to restrain himself. After knowing that Shi Shanglan was related to the Dark Forces, Xiao Jin even wanted to kill Shi Shanglan. He could have such thoughts, but definitely not now. Since Shi Shanglan approached them with a purpose, why didn't they directly use Shi Shanglan's wealth and power to heal their brother's injuries? Shi Shanglan was in charge of herbs and manpower. Since Shi Shanglan Prefecture was so shrewd, it meant that they weren't stupid. Knowing that she, the ghost doctor, and the saint thief were there, Shi Shanglan would definitely not dare to tamper with the medicinal ingredient. Xiao Jin's stiff body suddenly tensed up. A pair of deep dark eyes fixed on Yiqing Luo. After a while, he pursed his thin lips and spat out a word unwillingly, and then, he turned around and left the room. Seeing Xiao Jin's reaction, Yiqing Luo knew that this fellow indeed wanted to take action against Shi Shanglan directly. When it came to Yan Xiao Yi's matters, Xiao Jin's brain didn't know how to work. Since he liked her so much, why did he use such a method to push her away? Yiqing Luo looked at the tightly shut door and sighed silently. Chapter 1349. Dmo Xian's large palm encircled her waist, as his rosy lips slowly moved closer to hers. The kiss landed. But Yiqing Luo turned her head away, avoiding it. Yiqing Luo felt the hand on her waist, slightly exerting some force. Yiqing Luo pretended not to notice, her slender brows raised frivolously, as her slender long fingers gently caressed Dmo Xian's lips. Her charming eyes were filled with smiles as her tone was gentle, "If you don't say it. This mouth of yours, don't even think of getting close to me." The man who was sticking close to her suddenly stiffened. The muscles in front of his chest became stiff. That arm on her waist also stiffened. Dmo Xian's reaction successfully pleased Yiqing Luo. Her dimples bloomed as her fingers wantonly teased his lips, his face, and finally landed on his chest, playing with his lapel. Slender fingers as white as jade. Even through his clothes, Dmo Xian could clearly feel the temperature of her fingertip. "Little Luo, feel that the fire on your body is not strong enough?" Dmo Xian's voice was hoarse, as he encircled her waist tightly, sticking close to his body. Yiqing Luo obviously felt. Her face turned red, as she was still in her menstrual period, her mouth refused to let him off, Then, are you willing to say it? Diamo Xian suddenly stretched out his hand, as he hugged her horizontally in his arms. Following that, he went directly to the bed at the side. Wait! It couldn't be, he couldn't really be aroused by her, and wanted to force himself on her? Her body was thrown onto the soft bed. Yiqing Luo subconsciously shrank backwards, as she was about to turn over and get off the bed. A boiling hot body directly suppressed her desire to escape. Hey, Diamo Xian. Don't be like this. Yiqing Luo fluttered her limbs, refusing to give in obediently. Don't think of using this method to divert the topic. If you don't tell me today, I will pester you tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I will pester you to ask, I will pester you to ask, I will keep pestering you to ask. After Diamo Xian pressed her onto the bed, he turned over and landed beside her. One arm encircled her into his embrace. Yiqing Luo's struggles and roars also gradually ceased. Lying on his chest, Yiqing Luo cursed Diamo Xian's domineering CEO aura. Even her beauty couldn't make Diamo Xian open his mouth. Would he still want to kiss her in the future? Did he still want to get married? Little emotions started to grow as Yiqing Luo raised her head and stared at Diamo Xian. Before he could say anything, his lips were covered by a warm sensation. The elegant scent of sandalwood seeped into her nose. His kiss landed on her lips. He kissed her extremely gently and meticulously. Between his lips and teeth, he said in an extremely soft and hoarse voice, "Keep pestering me." Yiqing Luo had just opened her mouth, but it gave Diamo Xian the chance to take advantage of the situation. The gentle and delicate kiss turned into a lingering kiss. The days on the surface passed peacefully. Before he knew it, half a month had passed. All the youths were able to get out of bed and walk around, doing some simple rehabilitation exercises. There were even 10 over youngsters whose injuries had completely recovered. All these made Yiqing Luo's uneasy heart to ease up slightly. But there was another point which made Yiqing Luo apprehensive was the relationship between these youngsters and Shi Shanglan was getting better and better. In this half a month's time, Shi Shanglan had really displayed that kind of warm and polite, graceful and gentle young master image to the fullest. He was able to take good care of all the students in the devil class. Chapter 1350. This brainwashing ability made even Yiqing Luo gasp in amazement. However, there was no concrete evidence after all. Yiqing Luo was unable to directly let the youngsters in devil class maintain their relationship with Shi Shanglan. Otherwise, with Shi Shanglan's intelligence, he could easily sense that she was suspicious of him. Today, Yiqing Luo intended to bring up the matter of leaving the Shi family's residence and return to the academy. As soon as he arrived at the main hall of the residence, he could hear the sounds of laughter coming from within. Looking at her brothers and Shi Shanglan chatting happily in the main hall, Yiqing Luo sighed softly. "Don't you like him?" Suddenly, an extremely low voice came from behind. It was Yan Shaoyi. She wore an aqua-blue dress, and her hair was simple, which made her look even more intelligent and beautiful. Under Shi Shanglan's meticulous care, her injuries had already healed. Her delicate little face was no longer sickly pale. Yan Shaoyi walked to Yiqing Luo's side and stopped in her tracks, using a voice which only the both of them could hear. "I can tell that your attitude towards him is very distant. What about you? Have you decided to be with him, or miss him?" Yiqing Luo pointed out. Yan Shaoyi's expression congealed slightly, and several breaths later, her beautiful eyes met Yiqing Luo's eyes calmly. "No." These two words were considered as a reply to Yiqing Luo's two questions. He didn't decide to be with Shi Shanglan. He didn't think about Qiao Jin either. Qiao Jin had disappeared ever since he had obtained Shi Shanglan's investigation information. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. No one knew where he had gone. Yiqing Luo had asked Diamo Xian before, but Diamo Xian only caressed her fine black hair as he replied calmly, "If he wants to come back, he will naturally appear." Apparently, Dmo Xian knew where Qiao Jin had gone to. But he wasn't going to tell her. It was as if he did not intend to tell her Qiao Jin's identity. Yiqing Luo held Yan Xiaoyi's hand as her lips curled slightly. Let's go. The two of them walked side by side into the hall. The clamor came to an abrupt end. The youths, who had been lazing around, stood up straight in an instant. They were excited as they looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully. Yiqing Luo was stunned as she was puzzled by their sudden respect. Just as he was about to speak, a soft body pressed against his back. It rubbed its furry little head against her bosom. Big sister, Kitty Lee moved her head to her shoulder and said, "It's that Shishang Lan. He said that he wanted you to see everyone in high spirits, so he wanted everyone to show their best attitude to welcome you." Although these words sounded as if he was thinking for her, she wanted to make sure that her brothers had recovered from their injuries, to make her feel more at ease. But why did Yiqing Luo feel? Had he become an outsider? The words "welcome her" sounded particularly awkward to his ears. Every day, she and the ghost doctor would personally take everyone's pulse. No one knew better than she did, so she was naturally at ease. Moreover, with the relationship between her and her brothers, it did not seem worthwhile for them to stop laughing and joking when they saw her, right? This wasn't a training ground. Yiqing Luo's heart was inexplicably flustered. But she didn't show it on her face. "Why are you all so restrained? Everyone, please sit down." Yiqing Luo smiled as she held Kitty Lee in one hand and Yan Xiaoyi in the other, walking towards Shishang Lan's direction. Shishang Lan immediately went forward as he looked at Yan Xiaoyi warmly. "My apologies, I was too engrossed in chatting with everyone and forgot to fetch you." Chapter 1351. Shishang Lan was slightly stunned. Soon after, he very quickly revealed a smile and walked to Yan Xiaoyi's side, saying in a warm voice, "I am also worried about you. Your body has only just recovered and you still have to pay more attention. Don't leave a lingering illness in the future." The surrounding youths all revealed ambiguous and teasing expressions. This kind of expression was something that Yan Xiaoyi and Yiqing Luo were used to. Shishang Lan would not let go of any chance to flirt with girls and show off their affection. The youths were already used to this kind of blinding love. Yan Xiaoyi nodded lightly. "I know what I'm doing." Saying that, his gaze went past Shishang Lan and looked at Yiqing Luo, who was sitting by the side. "Qing Luo, don't you have something to tell everyone?" Yan Xiaoyi's words immediately diverted everyone's attention. The youngsters looked at Yiqing Luo respectfully, waiting for her words. Such a phenomenon was not unheard of. On the training grounds, Yiqing Luo's demands were extremely strict, treating all the students as soldiers in training. Therefore, there were many rules. However, this was not a training ground. If it was in the past, these youngsters would have started talking at once, asking Yiqing Luo what she wanted to talk about. This feeling, it was as if she was the instructor that the students looked up to, the vice-captain that they worshipped from the bottom of their hearts. That was all. Yiqing Luo's brows furrowed slightly as she squinted her eyes and looked at Shishang Lan in displeasure. Did he brainwash them again? This man, what exactly did he say to these youths? What was he trying to do? What's the matter? Shishang Lan noticed Yiqing Luo's gaze as he smiled warmly and asked. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an elegant smile without any flaws. His gaze swept across the hall with deep meaning as he spoke casually. "Young Master Shi's relationship with my brothers in the World Group isn't bad. They are all very sincere and decisive. I like interacting with people like that." Shishang Lan nodded sincerely. The youths scratched their heads in embarrassment. "Young Master Shi is too kind. Young Master Shi is the one with a gentle temperament. He is also very gentle to us. Yes, it's all thanks to young Master Shi that we could recover so quickly. It's our good fortune to know young Master Shi." Voices of thanks filled the entire hall in an instant. Yiqing Luo felt suffocated. When she spoke, these people were like mute. Although they still respected him, they still idolized him. But there was something missing yet, The moment Xishang Lan spoke, it was as if the mute acupoints of this group of youths were unlocked. It was not difficult to see the respect and gratitude in the eyes of these youths towards Xishang Lan. Yiqing Luo had to admit. She was jealous. And now, the desire in his heart was roaring and rushing. What AF * King Husky? I plan to return to the academy. Yiqing Luo raised her voice, suppressing all the youngsters' voices. The voices in the surroundings stopped abruptly once more. Xishang Lan's calm expression changed slightly. Why is Lady Yi going back to the academy? Could it be that I did not take good care of him? If there's anything inappropriate, Yi, it's just that you're too considerate. Yiqing Luo unhappily interrupted Xishang Lan's words. No matter what Xishang Lan's motive was, Yiqing Luo only had one feeling now. She was jealous. And she was extremely jealous. Before these youngsters met Xishang Lan, they had obviously treated her, Long Yunzhan and the others as the bright lights in their hearts. Now, this bright light had become Xishang Lan. Chapter 1352. But the minute she said that, Yiqing Luo realized that her emotions were too extreme. The puzzled and astonished gazes from all around fell on her. Yiqing Luo coughed dryly as the smile on her lips bloomed even more brilliantly. It's because you took care of them so all our brothers' bodies have recovered. I only applied for half a month's leave from the academy. Now that our brothers' injuries have recovered, it's time for us to return to the academy. Xishang Lan's stiff expression then turned gentle. That's true, after all they are students. Now I'm here to bid farewell to you. Yiqing Luo stood up and cupped her fists. Thank you, young Master Shi, for taking care of me and Chief these few days. If there's a chance, Yiqing Luo, will definitely repay you. It's nothing, it's not worth mentioning. Xishang Lan returned the greeting as he waved his hand. You and I are friends, there's no need to thank me. Yiqing Luo only smiled. Xishang Lan continued. Are we going back to the academy now? Isn't it a little too rushed? It's better to stay for another night and have a good rest before returning to the academy. Devil class is this batch's champion class. These few days, everyone has been bedridden recuperating and their training has been neglected. If we don't put in more effort, we will be surpassed by others very soon. Yiqing Luo smiled as she shook her head. While everyone is improving, don't forget that the others are also working hard to improve. The youngster's expressions instantly congealed. Xishang Lan didn't continue to dissuade her. The group of people left Shi family's residence in a grandiose manner. Yiqing Luo felt that something was amiss. Xishang Lan let them leave so easily. Wasn't it a little too simple? Moreover, she had been observing Xishang Lan's expression and gaze. She realized that other than Yan Xiaoyi's gaze, which was filled with reluctance, Xishang Lan had always warmly bid farewell to the others, as there was nothing unusual. Could it be that her feeling was really wrong? This Xishang Lan was actually an out-and-out good person? Yiqing Luo had been on tenterhooks until they reached the street, which was 100 meters away from Shi family's residence. For example, no one had appeared to stop them from leaving the residence. She released her senses as she vigilantly sensed the surrounding atmosphere. She didn't discover anything. The instant Xishang Lan, who had watched them leave, turned around, a figure appeared. His slender body suddenly stiffened. If one took a closer look, one would notice that his body was trembling slightly. After that, his warm and refined eyes were replaced by a pair of gloomy, ruthless, and evil eyes. His gentle face revealed an evil coldness that was completely different from usual. However, in the next instant that expression disappeared in a flash. Xishang Lan's trembling body staggered, and he actually half knelt on the ground. A servant hurriedly held onto Xishang Lan's arm. Eldest young master, what happened to you? Xishang Lan waved his hand and forced himself to stand up. He kept his head down as he walked into the mansion. His excessively long black hair covered his eyes. The wind blew, messing up her hair. Vaguely, a pair of eyes that made one's hair stand on end. One was as gentle as jade. One was sinister and cold. Heavenly Academy. When Yi Qing Luo and the rest arrived at the academy, the master who was guarding at the entrance came forward to welcome them. Student Yi, you are finally here. Chapter 1353. The master said with a smile, in this interclass competition, the Devil class won first place. The students of the other classes have all made your class their goal to strive for. Recently, many students have been clamoring to see you. The headmaster excitedly talked about the recent changes in the academy. Although the headmaster was very excited, but Yi Qing Luo still understood very well. Those so-called students did not really treat her as a goal to strive for. But Devil class, who had always been thought to be forgotten by everyone, was like a dark horse, snatching away the glory that should have belonged to them in front of everyone. If this honor had been won by High Profound Class 2 or the Class of Gods, then it would have been fine. Yet, it was a class of trash that everyone looked down on had been snatched away. Wouldn't the world be laughing at them, the Heavenly Academy students, for being so useless that they couldn't even win the trash from the waste class? He didn't want to be looked down upon. He was unwilling to admit defeat. Because of this, these students had been working hard recently to cooperate with the headmaster's lessons. Rather than saying that the Devil class was the goal they were striving for. Rather, it could be said that they wanted to wash away their shame. However, no matter what those students' motives were, it had nothing to do with her. Along the way, he learned about the recent changes in the academy from the headmaster. For example, according to the upcoming interclass competition, the academy had rearranged the classes based on their performances in the upper mystical pagoda. The previous High Profound Class 2 was demoted to Intermediate Class 2, and Low Profound Class 2 was upgraded to High Profound Class 1. High Profound Class 1 was demoted to Intermediate Class 1. Because Intermediate Profound Class 2's Shangguan Liuli had colluded with the dark forces and cheated in public. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, the dean decisively disqualified the Intermediate Profound Class 2 students from the competition and ordered all the students to leave the academy. Hence, the entire class of Intermediate Profound Class 2 students were forced to leave. Because of this, the students of Low Profound Class 1 followed their performance in the competition. More than 300 students were divided into Low Profound Class 1 and Low Profound Class 2. Devil class was directly promoted to High Profound Class 2. When Yi Qing Luo heard the news of Devil class becoming High Profound Class 2, she was momentarily stunned. Such a lame name. It was better for her to refuse the class upgrade this time. It was time for class. Along the way, there were only a few teachers passing by. Yi Qing Luo obediently greeted her. When they passed by the library pavilion, the librarian stood at the entrance, and when he saw Yi Qing Luo, he gave her a thumbs up. Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. Although the two of them did not speak. But Yi Qing Luo's heart suddenly felt warm. In this academy there were at least a few people who truly cared about her and praised her sincerely. She was not a complete failure as a person. Classmate Yi, suddenly, a clear voice came from behind. A tall and slender figure walked out of the library pavilion. His green and white robe made him look even more heroic. Seeing Yi Qing Luo, his smile deepened. I haven't congratulated you for obtaining the championship of the interclass competition. Yi Qing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her lips curled into a smile. Thank you, class monitor. This person was precisely Intermediate Profound Class 2's class monitor, Xie Yan. He was also that Xie Yan who had once issued a challenge to her on the second floor of the library collection pavilion, requesting for Devil class to participate in the interclass competition. However, weren't the students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 expelled from the academy by the dean? Even Xiao Yu, that child, had not seen her again. But now Xie Yan had appeared here. Chapter 1354. This thought made Yi Qing Luo's heart tightened. Ever since the Intermediate Profound Class 2 was forced to leave the academy, Yiqing Luo specially went to look for Lu Xiaoyu. But because the intermediate profound class 2 was forced to leave, they couldn't enter the arena to watch the competition. Because of this, when Yiqing Luo went to look for Lu Xiaoyu after the competition, she had already left the West Square. She was still thinking of ways to get Lu Xiaoyu to join Devil Class after she returned to the academy. Xie Yan had now appeared in the academy. Lu Xiaoyu would also have a chance to come back. I'm no longer the class monitor, just call me Xie Yan in future. Xie Yan waved his hand and smiled. I'm now still a student of the intermediate profound class 2. If student Yi needs anything in future, feel free to look for me in the intermediate profound class 2. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up. Indeed, Xie Yan had returned to the academy. She went forward and stared at Xie Yan with her charming eyes. The original intermediate profound class 2 students, what's the chance to return to the academy? Student Yi still doesn't know? Xie Yan raised his brows in surprise. Suddenly he recalled that the devil class had not appeared in the academy for half a month. He explained, on the day of the competition, Shangguan Luli colluded with the dark forces to cheat, causing the director to fly into a rage and forced all the students to leave the intermediate profound class 2. But after that, the headquarters fought for the opportunity to return to the academy for the other innocent and ignorant students. After all, there were nearly 400 students in the intermediate profound class 2. Among these 400 students, there were many young masters from other continents who came for lessons, and there were also people from various forces. Because of Shangguan Liuli, so many students had suffered because of her. How could the families of these students let it go so easily? Hence, one by one, the forces found trouble with the Shangguan family. But this Shangguan family, ever since they were removed from the 4 great profound families, they disappeared from the eyes of the world. No forces had found the whereabouts of the Shangguan family. Since they couldn't find the Shangguan family, these forces naturally went to the academy and the headquarters. They needed the academy or the headquarters to give an explanation to these innocent students. The General Hospital also felt that this move had accidentally hurt too many good students who were positive and motivated. Hence, they held a general meeting to fight for the opportunity for those original intermediate profound class 2 students to return to the academy. That was, students who wanted to return to the academy had to go through the inspection of the head elder. As long as a student came into contact with the mysterious Yin Qi, not only would they be unable to return to the academy, but they would also be locked up by the headquarters and interrogated. As for those who were clean, they could be reassigned to various classes according to their performance in the academy. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her face revealed a smile. Many thanks to the class. Student Xie for clearing my doubts. I'll return to the devil class with the other students first. Let's chat again when we have time in the future. Devil class? Xie Yan squinted his eyes. After the adjustment of the academy, the devil class has been promoted to high profound class 2. The direction of your class should be changed to high profound class 2. Yiqing Luo seemed to have thought of something. Does student Xie still remember the promise that we had made? Devil class will participate in the interclass competition. If we win, we will agree to a request from devil class. Xie Yan did not hesitate at all as he stated out the promise that they had made previously. Yiqing Luo nodded. Yes, now that devil class has obtained victory, then I should enjoy the freedom of devil class, right? Chapter 1355. That's right, I request to retain the devil class. Yiqing Luo's lips rose slightly as she gazed into Xie Yan's eyes. Devil class is devil class, there's no need for any changes. We like the atmosphere of devil class, like everything about devil class. Xie Yan was slightly stunned. Following that, he nodded his head with a light smile. I understand, I will apply to the director and the elders' quarters for this matter. Thank you, student Xie. Yiqing Luo thanked him calmly. The two of them exchanged some conventional greetings, and Yi Qing Luo led the majestic group of people towards the direction of Devil Class. When they reached the entrance of Devil Class's courtyard, Yi Qing Luo and the rest were stunned. Every class was a large courtyard. The courtyard was split into the front courtyard, rear courtyard, as well as the resting quarters and the school hall. In the past, Devil Class's courtyard entrance was filled with chilly wind and branches. No matter how one looked at it, it was eerie. No matter how one looked at it, it was cold. For 10 days to half a month, there wasn't a single person who got close to Devil Class. Basically, they had already treated Devil Class as though it didn't exist. If it wasn't for the fact that Yi Qing Luo had entered the academy and was allocated to Devil Class. Probably until now, none of the students had recalled that their academy still had the existence of Devil Class. And at this moment, the entire courtyard's entrance was so clean that there wasn't a single speck of dust. Apparently it had been meticulously cleaned. Yi Qing Luo turned back and exchanged glances with those students behind her. Could it be that they had entered the wrong class? But the class at the corner of the academy was only Devil Class? Yi Qing Luo took the lead and walked into Devil Class. Devil Class's outer courtyard was also clean and tidy. Verdant trees were planted all around, as well as beautiful blooming flowers. It didn't look like a class's outer courtyard, but more like a garden. Someone had entered their Devil Class. Then, the training inside had been completed. Had they entered? Devil Class's outer courtyard was originally for those students and teachers to watch. But after the outer courtyard, after the second door, it was a completely different world. Because of this, the second door, they had set up an array, and the door had been tainted with Bei Ming Lu Lu's poison. Those people, could they enter the second door? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she speedily pushed open the second door. Behind the second door, there were messy handkerchiefs and weapons strewn all over the floor. He finally heaved a sigh of relief. This place was a secret belonging to their Devil Class. It was Long Yunzhan who used his ability to build a training ground for the students of Devil Class. She did not wish for anyone outside of the Devil Class to enter the Devil Class, this territory that belonged to them. Those people only swept the outer courtyard and the entrance of Devil Class, but did not enter the second courtyard door. The group of them returned to the Devil Class and instantly felt as though they had returned to their own home. Looking at the familiar training, the familiar place, the familiar smell, the youths all cheered and rushed into the training ground. The news of the return of the Devil Class students had spread throughout the entire academy in just a short while. As a result, after class, those students flocked towards the direction of the Devil Class. Although these students had personally witnessed Yi Qing Luo's power in the interclass competition, witnessing Devil Class obtaining the final victory. But after returning to the academy, they still found it hard to calm down. He was unable to accept that his own class actually lost to the Devil Class. Look, all the students in the Devil Class had applied for half a month's leave to recuperate. It was rumored that because they had participated in the interclass competition with injuries, resulting in serious injuries after the competition. Chapter 1356. Towards Devil Class, they were unable to accept the fact that Devil Class had won, but inexplicably, a sense of reverence towards Devil Class arose. In the Nirvana realm, the stronger one's ability was, no matter if you had committed murder or arson or heinous crimes. As long as you were strong enough, the world would bow down to you. The idea of the strong being respected had long been ingrained in the hearts of the people. Obtaining the champion of the interclass competition, and with her own strength, she defeated the number 1 beauty, Zi Qian, who had a legendary staff. No one dared to doubt Yi Qing Luo's power. Yi Qing Luo called out to the students as she was tidying up the training grounds and the classroom, which she had not been back for half a month. Suddenly they heard a commotion outside the courtyard. Initially they thought the other classes had ended, so they came over to take a stroll. But The commotion outside was obviously getting more and more lively, and the number of people was increasing. Yiqing Luo and Long Yunzhan exchanged glances and roughly understood that those students outside must have heard that their devil class students had returned to the academy. They specially came over to watch, either to watch a joke or to hug their thighs. What are you waiting for? Go go go! Follow me out! Old man Guiyu scurried out from a corner, one hand holding Yiqing Luo's arm and the other hand tugged Long Yunzhan's collar as he pulled him out of the courtyard. Teacher Guiyu! Yiqing Luo staggered a few steps as she followed behind old man Guiyu. She noticed that old man Guiyu's usual loose teacher's white robe was now neatly worn on his body and the belt was neatly fastened. His hair, which used to be messy like withered grass, was now neatly tied into the headmaster's hair. She wanted to struggle with her behavior, but stop. Being pulled by old man Guiyu, the students behind him also followed suit. And so, dozens of students walked to the outer court in a mighty manner. The outer courtyard was packed with people. There were at least 300 over students crowding around here. When they saw Yiqing Luo and the rest coming out, their faces revealed a surprised expression. Old man Guiyu walked right in front and stood in front of the students as he raised his hand, indicating for everyone to quieten down. He cleared his throat and spoke in a rare steady voice. Cough, fellow students, you must be here to see the class which won first place in this year's interclass competition, Devil Class. The students feared old man Guiyu. As soon as old man Guiyu appeared, the noisy scene fell into silence. Those students' gazes continued to shoot towards Yiqing Luo and the others. All right. If you have anything to say, just say it. The Devil Class students will try their best to answer your questions. Seeing that the situation was under control, old man Guiyu stepped aside. When he returned to the academy, he would have to face this group of students sooner or later. As the Dark Horse, their Devil Class had obtained the final victory. To these students who were used to being arrogant, it was indeed a blow. Devil Class had used their actions to prove to all the classes, teachers and elders in the Heavenly Academy. They, the Devil Class, were not trash. Since he wasn't trash, why didn't the Academy notice anything at all? Could it be was it after Yiqing Luo entered Devil Class, in a short span of 3 to 4 months, she managed to train that bunch of ridiculing trash into top experts? From Yiqing Luo they could see numerous miracles. 20% of the students actually believed this guess. Student Yiqing Luo, how do you feel about becoming the class leader? Student Yiqing Luo, how did you improve so quickly? When you just entered the academy, you were still a yellow profound cultivator. Chapter 1357. Countless questions were thrown out one after another. The students were fearful, and at the same time unwilling. After all, these students in front of them were once dogs in their eyes. They were trash that could be bullied by anyone. However, at this moment they were standing perfectly straight. Their youthful faces revealed expressions that were completely different from the laziness they had in the past. Their eyes were like torches, facing the hundreds of questions. They did not show any signs of panic. On the contrary, they were calm and composed, causing people to involuntarily be intimidated by the aura they emitted. Was this still the Devil Class that they knew? Was this still the Devil Class students that they saw on the stage of the interclass competition? Wait. You are not students of Devil Class. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, interrupting the fear and respect they had for the strong. The students looked towards the direction of the voice. The crowd dispersed, revealing a slender figure. It's High Profound Class 2. Oh no, it's student Yen Zhenfei from Intermediate Profound Class 2. What did she say? They are not students of Devil Class? What does that mean? Student Yen Zhenfei, what do you know, can you tell us? When countless students saw Yen Zhenfei, their gossipy hearts surged. Yen Zhenfei was originally a student of High Profound Class 2. In this interclass competition, the original High Profound Class 2 was miserably abused by Devil Class. The good name of High Profound Class 2 was completely reduced to a joke in this competition. Especially now, the students of High Profound Class 2 had been demoted to Intermediate Profound Class 2. Not mentioning the name of Intermediate Profound Class 2, because of Shangguan Liuli, it caused everyone to think of the dark forces when Intermediate Profound Class 2 was mentioned. Just like the students of High Profound Class 2. The elite students who were extremely talented and had a high status in the academy. But they had been demoted by 2 classes. The current High Profound Class 1 was the previous Low Profound Class 2. Which meant, in the hearts of the academy and the headquarters, the original High Profound Class 2 students were not even comparable to the original Low Profound Class 2. The original High Profound Class 2, the current Intermediate Profound Class 2 students, must hate Devil Class to the core. Yanjun Fei now stood out and pointed out the students of Devil Class. It would be a great show. Yanjun Fei walked past the crowd and directly stood in front of the students as she raised her head and stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo. Those people behind you are not students from Devil Class. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as her lips curled into a smile which didn't look like a smile. Yanjun Fei's heart trembled at her smile, and she instinctively took a step back. But he heard Yiqing Luo's smiling voice ringing, "Student Yanjun Fei, our Devil Class isn't a place where you can make irresponsible remarks. If student Yanjun Fei feels that the taste on the arena stage isn't enough, I don't mind letting you relive it once more." He was obviously smiling. That voice was clearly extremely sweet. However, it gave off an extremely cold intent. It was that kind of chill that seemed to seep into one's bones. Yanjun Fei recalled Yiqing Luo's arrogant look a few days ago at the Shi family's residence. She hated Yiqing Luo. Yanjun Fei forcefully suppressed the fear in her heart as her lips trembled slightly. "You don't think that we're all idiots? I'll only ask you one question. Are Devil Class's students from the newly risen The World Mercenary Group?" Mentioning the World Group. This was the guess of many students. Chapter 1358. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she didn't intend to hide it. Yes. The crowd went into an uproar. Indeed. Devil Class's students were the World Mercenary Group. The students present were roughly between 15 to 25 years old. This year's youngsters loved to find out about various forces news, so that they could make plans for their future after they graduated from the academy. The Mercenary Association, they would more or less pay attention to it. The rise of the World Mercenary Group could be said to be the Mercenary Association's historical speed. The missions they took on were those bronze or even silver plate mercenary groups might not be able to complete. But unfortunately, a newly established 60-over-man group, the World Group, was able to complete those missions without any losses. Devil Class's students were the members of the World Group. That meant to say, 3 months ago, Devil Class's students already had enough ability to complete those missions? That meant to say, Devil Class's students were actually not trash? When the World Group was established, Yiqing Luo had just entered Devil Class for less than a month. 1 month. No matter how heaven-defying Yiqing Luo was, or how she created miracles, it was impossible to train a bunch of trash into dregs in such a short period of time, to the extent that they were able to take on high-grade mercenary group missions. The gazes that the students used to look at the Devil Class were filled with respect and admiration. Yanjun Fei looked at the other students' reactions as she silently clenched her teeth. She had not expected her question to make these people revere Devil Class even more. A bunch of slow-witted fools. They deserved to be suppressed by Devil Class in the interclass competition till they had no way to retaliate. These people, they are not Devil Class's students at all. Yanjun Fei pointed angrily at the rows of youngsters behind Yiqing Luo. They are the Imperial Palace's disciples. They are the World Group's members, intentionally pretending to be Devil Class's students to take part in the interclass competition. His tone was firm, and his accusation was righteous. It made the students present instantly quieten down. Not Devil Class's students? Imperial Palace's disciples? Pretending to be Devil Class's students? The amount of information was too huge. Their hearts almost couldn't take it. I've investigated Devil Class's information and also found some information about Devil Class's students from the Faculty Council. Yen Zhenfei arrogantly raised her head as her lips curled into a cold smile. The atmosphere remained silent. The students were still immersed in Yen Zhenfei's words. Devil Class's students saw that Yiqing Luo didn't say a word, so they also didn't say a word. Yen Zhenfei only thought that Yiqing Luo had a guilty conscience and was unable to refute. Hence he became even more arrogant. The existence of the Devil Class has already lasted for as long as 5 years. And in these 5 years, the number of students who entered the Devil Class every year did not exceed 10. Ever since a year ago, the students of the Devil Class had completely faded out of everyone's sight, and no one remembers the Devil Class. Which is to say, in our academy, even if they walk out like this, we might not be able to recognize them, whether they are really Devil Class students or not. After all, we have never paid special attention to unimportant people. It's just that, coincidentally, from the Faculty Council, I found the portraits of every student who entered the Devil Class. Portrait? The silent students looked at each other. Yen Zhenfei had seen the portraits before, hence she was sure that these people were not students from the Devil Class? In other words, Chapter 1359. Yes, that's right. These people, and the people in the portraits, look totally different. Yen Zhenfei placed her hands behind her back as she straightened her back and gave a complacent smile. These people are all fake. They were not students of the Devil Class at all. As a member of the Faculty Council, I have the right to seal Devil Class and hand it over to the director to deal with. When the students heard such righteous words, the worship and reverence in their eyes were replaced by humiliation and deception. These people seemed to have forgotten, in the interclass competition, Yiqing Luo's outstanding performance. Shangguan Luli cheated and was forced to leave the academy. Yiqing Luo, you actually cheated everyone's feelings and cheated in the interclass competition. If you are not expelled from the academy, and fulfill the blood oath with Shangguan Luli, we will absolutely not let you off. Even if you're an Imperial Palace's disciple, cheating is cheating and you must be punished severely. That's right. We lost the competition because of people like you who like to cheat, spoiling the balance of our competition. One by one, the voices of accusation were filled with extreme anger. That scolding voice seemed as though they wanted to tear Yiqing Luo into pieces. When Yiqing Luo heard that, she only wanted to scold. A bunch of brainless scoundrels. Just a second ago, they were still fawning and worshipping her, looking at her, calling her senior Yiqing Luo, student Yiqing Luo. The next second, they started to accuse and abuse, each more ferocious than the other. Yiqing Luo was amused by these brainless scoundrels' behavior. The other youngsters in Devil Class, faced with such a huge change in attitude, were unable to adapt to it. The speed at which their faces changed was faster than flipping a book. But Yiqing Luo was already used to it. Human nature was like that. Listen to the wind is the wind, listen to the rain is the rain. Yiqing Luo's disdainful gaze was caught by Yen Zhenfei. Her expression sunk as she clenched her teeth and gave a cold harumph. Student Yiqing Luo, don't think that just because you don't say anything, you won't be punished. Before I came, I've already invited Elder Yunxiang. Just wait to be expelled from the academy. Saying that, she pointed towards the group of students behind Yiqing Luo, and all of you, none of you will be able to escape. Yiqing Luo maintained a smile which didn't look like a smile. Under Yiqing Luo's hint, Devil Class's students didn't say a single word. Even the furious old man Gui Yu, under Yiqing Luo's gaze, forcefully suppressed his impulse. until Yun Xiang was led by a few female students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 to the entrance of Devil Class's courtyard. Just as Yun Xiang walked over, Yan Zhenfei quickly recounted what she had found out. When Yun Xiang heard that, the peaceful expression on his face instantly darkened. A pair of malicious eyes fell onto Yiqing Luo. Student Yiqing Luo, is what student Yan Zhenfei said true? What do you think, Elder Yun Xiang? Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she asked. I don't have the time to joke with you. You are only allowed to answer yes or no. Yun Xiang growled. Yiqing Luo shrugged, of course not. You're lying. Every single word I said is the truth. Yan Zhenfei gritted her teeth and growled. Yiqing Luo sneered. If I had used the Imperial Palace's disciples to replace Devil Class's students to take part in the competition, then Devil Class's students wouldn't have met with an ambush in the West Continent and they wouldn't have taken part in the competition with injuries. In the end, under Ghost Dr. Master's treatment, they would only be able to stand up and walk for an entire half a month. Towards the end, Yiqing Luo's voice and imposing manner started to rise. Yan Zhenfei was shocked as she retreated a few steps. Chapter 1360. Student Yan Zhenfei is able to provide the evidence of the portraits to prove that you and the people in the portraits are totally different. Yun Xiang's face sunk. Then what evidence can you provide to prove that you are Devil Class's students? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she gave Yun Xiang a "you idiot" expression. Then take out the portraits, isn't that the best evidence? Don't think that I don't dare to take it. Yan Zhenfei treated it as Yiqing Luo's final struggle. She casually touched her space pocket. Following that, she took out a stack of drawing paper. On the drawing paper, there were many human faces. The students who were standing nearer couldn't help but gasp when they saw the extremely handsome faces on the portrait. Handsome is handsome, beautiful is beautiful. All of them were extremely pleasing to the eye. The students' gazes towards Devil Class's students had changed. Indeed, no one was perfect. Those Devil Class's students, although their innate talents were a little lacking, although their brains were a little silly, although their characters were a little soft, but they were handsome and beautiful. Their faces were good. Judging on one's looks had never been a conventional practice since ancient times. No matter when, it was an era where one looked at one's looks. After gasping in admiration at the portraits of handsome men and beautiful women, the students looked at the people standing behind Yiqing Luo. Indeed, they didn't look like them, although these youngsters looked more handsome than the other. But as compared to the people in the portraits, there were still some differences. At this moment, Yan Zhenfei suddenly took a step forward. She rushed to Yiqing Luo's side and swiftly stretched out her hand, grabbing someone's arm and dragging her out, and this is also evidence. The person whom Yan Zhenfei dragged out was Yan Xiaoyi. This person is from my Yan family, a waste from the Yan family, a waste who can't even condense profound energy. How could she possibly pass Heavenly Academy's assessment and become a student of Heavenly Academy? Yan Zhenfei's tone was filled with disdain. What do I not know about the Yan family's matters? How could she possibly be a student of Devil Class? In the faculty council, Yan Zhenfei didn't even see Yan Xiaoyi's portrait. Although she knew clearly that Yan Xiaoyi was no longer the past Yan Xiaoyi. Yan Xiaoyi's current ability was so powerful that even her heart trembled. But, at least for now, Yan Xiaoyi was not a student of Devil Class. The gazes of the students instantly converged on Yan Xiaoyi. Let go. Yan Xiaoyi frowned in disgust. She was not used to Yan Zhenfei's touch. She flung Yan Zhenfei's hand away and said calmly, I really don't want to show off my intelligence to you. You're as dumb as a pig. Talking to you is a waste of time. Seriously, he was not afraid of a godlike opponent, but he was afraid of a pig-like teammate. Yan Zhenfei's godly assistance simply made Yiqing Luo not know whether to laugh or cry. She was just worrying about how she could remove the mask on her face without being questioned by the other students. Now, there was no need for the Devil Class to hide anymore. The The students of the devil class could totally reveal their true faces. Yan Zhenfei had given him this chance. Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her hand as her slender index finger raised up. Suddenly, he gently crooked his finger. Tell them the truth. Yiqing Luo's tone was calm, without a hint of nervousness or panic. Yiqing Luo's attitude made Yan Zhenfei cover her chest warily, as her face revealed an astonished expression. The truth? What truth? Chapter 1361. Elder Yun Xiang, since you're here, I'll have to trouble you to be the witness. Yiqing Luo retreated from her position. Brothers, split up and stand properly. Devil class's youngsters immediately stood in line like during training. 60 over people stood at the entrance of Devil class's courtyard, split into 3 rows. They stood in a staggered position. The students opposite could clearly see every single Devil class student's face. Yun Xiang and Yan Zhenfei exchanged glances. Both of them couldn't figure out what Yiqing Luo was planning to do. Yan Xiaoyi shot a contemptuous glance at Yan Zhenfei, following that her vision turned towards those youngsters who were standing upright, as her lips curled into a smile. According to the Academy's regulations, in the Academy, slandering other students for no reason, or criticizing and questioning other students for no reason, will be severely punished. She paused and her voice was extremely soft, revealing a sliver of gentleness. This punishment seems to be recording a small demerit in *****. When Yan Xiaoyi's gaze fell onto Yan Zhenfei once again, Yan Zhenfei went into a blank. She looked at Yan Xiaoyi in a daze. This lady. Was she really Yan Xiaoyi? Was she really that Yan Xiaoyi who suffered all sorts of humiliation in Yan family? No. Yan Xiaoyi didn't have the guts to talk to her. Yan Xiaoyi didn't even dare to take a look at her. How could she possibly use this kind of attitude to talk to her? Recalling some days ago at the Shi family's residence, when Yan Xiaoyi was bedridden, she gave her a ridiculing look. Looking at the present, Yan Xiaoyi didn't conceal her ridicule. Yan Zhenfei couldn't take it as she pointed at Yan Xiaoyi and roared, "You're feeling guilty. Don't try to use small demerits to suppress me. I'm telling you, not only do I suspect that Devil class's students are all impersonated by Imperial Palace's disciples, I also suspect that you are not Yan Xiaoyi at all." Small demerit? Yan Xiaoyi seemed as though she didn't hear the latter half of her sentence. Our Devil class has a total of 61 students. Other than Qing Luo, there are 60 other students. For a student to make a small demerit, you will record 60 demerit. Saying that, Yan Xiaoyi clicked her tongue. A student at most 5 demerits. You're still changing the topic. You're obviously feeling guilty. Yan Zhenfei was so infuriated that her entire body was trembling as she clung onto Yan Xiaoyi tightly. Yiqing Luo made use of the Imperial Palace's power to obtain victory in the interclass competition. This is cheating. Yiqing Luo is the one who should be given demerit points and forced to leave the academy. Yiqing Luo, who had been standing by the side with her arms crossed, raised her brows with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Since that's the case, let's not play too big. After all, Yan Zhenfei is the most pampered eldest Miss Yan in the Yan family, so we should at least give them some face. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Yan Xiaoyi stopped her aggressive actions. Then let's do it this way. Student Yan Zhenfei insists on slandering our Devil class, then Elder Yun Xiang will be the witness. If I can prove that they are indeed students of the Devil class, then student Yan Zhenfei's file will be marked with a major demerit. How about that? Yiqing Luo's tone was relaxed, as though she was just casually mentioning it. Yan Zhenfei's expression instantly changed as she stared intently at Yiqing Luo, trying to tell what she was thinking from her expression. A big mistake. A student only had 3 chances of a major demerit. Furthermore, on ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* were any demerit points recorded. Chapter 1362. Don't dare to bet? Yan Xiaoyi ridiculed. Since you don't dare to, then don't stand here and solemnly accuse Devil class. Saying that, Yen Xiaoyi turned around and walked towards Devil Class's courtyard. How could Yen Zhenfei let go of this chance to turn Devil Class into a joke? From what she saw, Yiqing Luo and Yen Xiaoyi were echoing each other to cover up their guilty conscience. Hence, Yen Zhenfei looked at the both of them without any misgivings. All right? A big mistake is a big mistake. Anyway, both of you are definitely fake. Yiqing Luo shook her head helplessly and sympathetically. Towards this kind of clown, Yiqing Luo had no interest at all. Moreover, Yen Xiaoyi was obviously extremely interested in this sister of hers who had the same father and mother. This kind of toy was naturally left for Yen Xiaoyi to play with. Yiqing Luo's gaze looked towards those students as she nodded her head slightly. Long Yunzhan's cold and deep command was heard. Do it! Yes. 60 youngsters replied extremely loudly. Yun Xiang's expression changed drastically. What are you trying to do? As he said that, he opened up his arms, protecting those few hundred students behind him. Those few hundred students' expressions also turned fearful. Hearing the word, do it, they all thought that Yiqing Luo and the others were going to use brute force to hide the truth. But in the next instant, they understood exactly what Long Yunzhan meant when he said, attack. Even Yun Xiang's voice was cut off because of this. They saw those 3 rows of students moving in sync, as though they had gone through countless of rehearsals before they could reach such a tacit understanding. Everyone's actions seemed as though they were looking into a mirror. Rhythm, frequency, it was exactly the same. The youngsters uniformly touched their own faces. Bit by bit, they removed the mask on their faces. One by one, the youngsters revealed their real looks in front of the few hundred students. When the youngsters removed their masks, standing respectfully and looking at Yiqing Luo, those few hundred students who were crowding around were totally not calm anymore. Handsome men. A bunch of handsome men. Beauties. A bunch of beauties. It could be said that Devil Class was the representative of Heavenly Academy's attractiveness. It wasn't an exaggeration at all. These young faces were revealed in front of everyone's eyes. There were already students shouting out, He's the one in the portrait. It was this face. Look at his blue eyes. Yes, yes, yes. Those eyes can't be imitated at all. And the one beside him, he's also the person in the portrait. No wonder student Yiqing Luo insisted on staying in the Devil Class. Even the temptation of the class of gods was unmoved. If it were me, with so many beauties around me, I wouldn't be willing to leave just by looking at them. Ha ha. The students stared in amazement at the Devil Class students who had revealed their lineup and instantly felt that they were about to be conquered by these handsome guys and beauties of the Devil Class. When the youths from Devil Class took off the human mask, Yen Zhenfei's petite body staggered a few steps back. She stared at the students of the Devil Class in disbelief, unable to believe what she was seeing. But the truth was right in front of them. In front of her eyes, these students had personally taken off their masks and revealed their true faces. No. Impossible. How could you be students of the Devil Class? No. I don't believe it. Yen Zhenfei's footsteps were unstable as she fell onto the ground in a disheveled state. She raised her head and stared at those faces, which were exactly the same as in the portrait. Chapter 1363. The portraits of Devil Class's students were taken out by Yen Zhenfei, and it had completely verified that these people were Devil Class's students. Yen Zhenfei's trouble finding, not only did it not bring about any influence to Devil Class, instead it helped them clear all the students' suspicions towards Devil Class. And it also allowed the Devil Class to once again stand in front of everyone in an open and honorable manner. Yen Zhenfei felt that she was like a clown at this moment. Everyone was laughing at her, mocking her. Looking at Yiqing Luo and the others' smiles, looking at Yen Xiaoyi's disdainful glances. The hatred and grievances in Yen Zhenfei's heart burned even more vigorously. It's my idea to let the students disguise themselves. Yiqing Luo explained calmly, the world group is already eye-catching enough. If they were to show their faces in the interclass competition, it would easily attract the backlash from various powerhouses. She sighed softly. At least, we can't let the outside world know that the World Group's members are Devil Class's students. So, students, can you help us keep this a secret? As Yiqing Luo said that, her lips curled into a radiant smile. Like a gorgeous rose blooming, it made the students lose their souls when they saw that smile. Good. Good. Student Yiqing Luo, don't worry. We will absolutely not say anything. Student Yen Zhenfei is really too much, forcing Devil Class to reveal their own identities. Student Yen Zhenfei has now become a student of Intermediate Profound Class 2. She was once high and mighty, but now she has fallen 1,000 feet. Her heart is filled with grievances, trying to frame our goddess Qing Luo, Pui. Actually, the students wanted to say. The news that Devil Class's students were the World Group's members. The people in the outside world had probably guessed it long ago. But now, a bunch of students started to flatter them. Flattering them to their heart's content. Flattering them to their heart's content. They had totally forgotten that under Yen Zhenfei's instigation, they even helped Yen Zhenfei to force Yiqing Luo and the others to take out the evidence. Human. What a ridiculous creature. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision didn't even take a look at Yen Zhenfei, only smiling as she looked at Yun Xiang. Elder Yun Xiang's confirmation of Devil Class, are you satisfied? In the depths of Yun Xiang's gentle and benevolent eyes, there was a trace of malice. Right from the start, I believe that student Yiqing Luo isn't the kind of person who resorts to trickery. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched indifferently. The irascible old man Gui, you could no longer control his emotions. Enough! You bunch of bastards! How dare you question my student in front of me? Are you doubting me? He had wanted to maintain his demeanor as a teacher on such an important occasion. However, this group of little brats was completely ignorant. You, stand up. Old man Guiyu suddenly pointed at Yen Zhenfei. I am Devil Class's teacherin. King said that my little lass Luo made use of the Imperial Palace's disciple to replace the Devil Class's students. Are you trying to say that I and little lass Luo worked together and colluded with each other to let Devil Class win the interclass competition? No. No, I didn't. I didn't. Yen Zhenfei was so scared that her tears started flowing. Old man Guiyu's reputation was known by everyone in the entire academy. He was simply a crazy old man. A lunatic that even the director couldn't control. Whereas the other students' attention was placed on the way old man Guiyu addressed Yiqing Luo. Little lass Luo? Such an intimate way of addressing. Could it be that Yiqing Luo had already become old man Guiyu's disciple? Chapter 1364. Rude and unreasonable. But it was filled with the intention to protect the Devil Class and Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt warm. The other Devil Class students looked at old man Guiyu's back view and felt warmth in their hearts. Although this teacher of theirs was a little fierce and strict in terms of training, he was still a good teacher. But he was indeed a good teacher. For them to have the ability today, old man Guiyu had a huge influence. Woo-woo. Woo-woo. Yen Zhenfei was so scared that she couldn't say a word. Her tears kept falling and she cried until she couldn't catch her breath. If it was any other teacher, they might have been frightened by Yen Zhenfei's tears. But old man Guiyu was not any other teacher. Even if the young lady died in front of him, he wouldn't be moved at all. This kind of crying to old man Guiyu made him feel even more annoyed. Shut up. If you continue to cry, I will make you cry until you can't cry anymore. Old man Guiyu impatiently berated and threatened. His words successfully stopped Yen Zhenfei's wailing. She kept on sobbing as her little shoulders shrugged. She absolutely believed that based on old man Guiyu's character, he would really make her suffer. Student Yen Zhenfei has no respect for her elders and provoked the teacher. Old man Guiyu squinted his eyes and looked at Yiqing Luo. Las Luo, is this considered as a violation of the Academy's rules? Yes. The Heavenly Academy emphasized on respecting the teachers and elders. The students had to be respectful to the teachers, instructors, elders, and the like. Whoever dared to say anything harsh to the teachers would be considered as a violation of the Academy's rules. Based on the degree of disrespect that Yan Zhenfei has shown to me, what kind of punishment should she receive? Old man Guiyu shook off Yan Zhenfei's collar and looked at Yun Xiang. Yun Xiang's face turned pale when he was stared at by old man Guiyu. Towards this crazy old man, even the director had to give way, not to mention Yun Xiang. Although the status of the elders was higher than the teachers. But, if the other party was old man Guiyu, even the great elder Yun Xiang had to be respectful. Yun Xiang coughed dryly and ignored Yan Zhenfei's pleading eyes. According to the Academy's rules, Yan Zhenfei should be given a serious demerit as a warning. Yan Zhenfei fell to the ground again. She widened her eyes and looked at Yun Xiang in disbelief. She shook her head furiously. No. I didn't. He was the one who gave me the portrait. He was the one who asked me to do this. It wasn't me. She burst into tears. Choking with sobs, she shook her head incoherently. Don't punish me. Don't. It's him. It's him, one big mistake, two major mistakes. If it was really as what Yiqing Luo and Yun Xiang had said, then she would have recorded down two serious mistakes today. A person only had 3 chances to pass the test. If it happened one more time, she would be forced to leave the academy. Moreover, these 2 mistakes would be clearly recorded in her file. No matter where she went in the future, these 2 humiliations would accompany her for the rest of her life. Him? Who is it? Yiqing Luo understood the deeper meaning in his words as she narrowed her eyes and asked. She could roughly guess that Yan Zhenfei had been used as a hostage. After all, Yan Zhenfei was just an ordinary member of the faculty council. How could she possibly find the devil class student's portrait? It's... Yan Zhenfei opened her mouth and was about to throw the blame away. But her face suddenly turned pale. The crying stopped abruptly. Her eyes widened as fear filled her eyes. Chapter 1365. Yan Zhenfei's minute changes were seen clearly by Yiqing Luo. Yan Zhenfei wanted to say out that person. But she seemed to have seen something. That eyes were filled with fear, so much so that she would rather bear everything herself. That person. Who was it? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she turned her head and looked towards the direction where Yan Zhenfei's gaze met earlier. The dense crowd of students didn't see any eye-catching person. Suddenly, a clear and warm voice was heard from outside the crowd. What's the matter? President. President Yu. Why are you here? The surrounding students greeted in unison. Yiqing Luo heard the voice and immediately retracted her gaze as she looked straight ahead. The students opened up a path as a tall figure walked over slowly. His gentle and refined temperament was like a green lotus, quiet and elegant. His gentleness was different from Shi Shanglan. It was as if Shi Shanglan was always graceful and had a smile on his face no matter what happened. In modern terms, it was like a central air conditioner radiating warmth everywhere. Whereas Si Yen Mu's gentleness was that kind of quiet gentleness. He looked polite, but in actual fact, he was distant. Perhaps it was because he was the faculty council's president. Even if he was smiling, no one dared to get close to him. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she raised her brows in interest. My devil class is indeed famous, even the president is alarmed. This tone, no matter how one listened, it didn't sound like a compliment. Instead, it revealed a faint hint of sarcasm and probing. The person behind Yan Zhenfei was Si Yenmu? But it seemed like it wasn't. Yan Zhenfei must have seen a certain place behind her, which was why she revealed a terrified expression. And Si Yenmu came from right in front of her. But, no matter which direction Si Yenmu came from, she didn't have any good impression towards Si Yenmu. I heard that someone stole the devil class's admission portrait in my president's office, so I specially came over to understand the situation. Si Yen Mu explained calmly. Yiqing Luo raised her brows, not fully believing him. This kind of matter, usually Si Yen Mu didn't need to appear personally. Si Yen Mu had always used Lu Shuiyu as a shield. Speaking of Lu Shuiyu, Yiqing Luo's vision surveyed the surroundings. He did not see Lu Shuiyu, who would follow Si Yen Mu like a shadow whenever he was around. Speaking of which, ever since that day, Lu Shuiyu had used a substitute. She didn't seem to see Lu Shuiyu. 7th grade Earth Profound Realm. He was even beaten so badly that he lost the match. He didn't know how many doubts Lu Shuiyu would face when she returned. How was she going to explain the matter of the Earth Profound's 7th grade Profound rank? Si Yen Mu seemed to know who Yiqing Luo was looking for, he smiled gently. Lu Shuiyu has already retired from the Faculty Council. She is no longer the Vice President of the Faculty Council, so naturally she does not need to follow me. Left the Faculty Council? Lu Shuiyu actually left the Faculty Council? It was forced, or voluntary. With her obsession with Si Yen Mu, was she really willing to leave the Faculty Council? Lu Shuiyu voluntarily left the Faculty Council. Because of the competition, she has been blaming herself. Si Yen Mu explained patiently. This patience, in Yiqing Luo's opinion. He must have a motive. He mentioned Lu Shuiyu. What was it for? Yiqing Luo was still pondering when Si Yen Mu continued. While everyone is here, I would like to introduce to everyone the new Vice President of the Faculty Council. What? New Vice President? Who is it? How could she become the Vice President so quickly? Chapter 1366. The students cast their curious eyes on Si Yen Mu. Some even guessed that the Vice President would be Lu Shuilan. After all, Lu Shuilan had always been by Lu Shuiyu's side and helped her to do things. She knew the affairs of the Faculty Council the best. And when Lu Shuiyu was suspended from the position of Vice President, Lu Shuilan also took over for a period of time. If Lu Shuilan took over, it would indeed be easy to handle. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and looked at Si Yen Mu vigilantly. Was it necessary to announce the Vice President in front of her? Si Yen Mu's actions today really made people suspicious. Just as everyone was discussing and making guesses, a figure suddenly appeared. Suddenly, an exclamation broke out from the crowd. It's Goddess Qian Qian. It's really her. How could she appear in the academy? Hey, don't call her goddess. She used such means in the interclass competition and even tried to take Yiqing Luo's life. Such a vicious woman, calling her a goddess is simply an insult to her reputation. Immediately, different voices interrupted those praises. Two groups of people actually disregarded their image and started to quarrel in public. At this time, another student shouted, "Student Zi Qian is here, stop quarreling." Didn't the president just say to announce the vice president? Could it be Student Zi Qian? As soon as these words came out, the two groups of people who were quarreling abruptly stopped. Those who were clamoring with disdain for Zi Qian also immediately stopped. What a joke! If Zi Qian was really the vice president, their insults would make things difficult for them in minutes. Just as they were talking, Zi Qian had already walked over with an air of immortality. She had specially dressed up today. Her exquisite makeup complemented her beautiful face, making it look even more beautiful and moving. Zi Qian stood beside Si Yen Mu, the corner of her mouth hooked into a cold arc. President. Where is she? Si Yen Mu looked behind Zi Qian and asked. Zi Qian replied indifferently, "She is here." As she said, her beautiful eyes looked at the crowd and finally fixed on a certain place. Her slender jade-like hands lifted slightly and spread out in that direction. A formless gust of wind blew the students away, creating a path for them to pass. This was not a hurricane made of profound energy. It was his aura. Just his aura alone was enough to control the surrounding natural substances. The students sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at Zi Qian with reverence in their eyes. Vice President, come here. Si Yen Mu looked at the direction of the empty path and said in a warm voice. In the middle of the road, there was a petite figure with a timid expression. That delicate little face was filled with awkwardness. Her round, bright, beautiful eyes darted back and forth as she looked at the surrounding people who were pointing at her and looking at her with doubtful eyes. When Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto that young lady, she felt as though she had been electrocuted as her entire body stiffened, immediately standing stiffly on the spot. Her eyes widened and were filled with surprise. That person, the person that Si Yen Mu addressed as Vice President, it was actually Lu Xiaoyu. That face, that expression, that posture. Yiqing Luo would absolutely not make a mistake. Lu Xiaoyu actually became the Vice President of the Faculty Council? When did this happen? How could it be Lu Xiaoyu? Lu Xiaoyu was just a new student. It could even be said that she was a completely unremarkable freshman. Other than eating, Lu Xiaoyu had no other hobbies, nor did she have any particular goal to strive for. Let her be the vice president? The faculty council would collapse sooner or later. Chapter 1367. Lu Xiaoyu unnaturally brushed the hair on her forehead and walked to Si Mu Yan's side with her body tensed up. Immediately, she spoke in a low voice. President. Si Mu Yan nodded his head gently. President, didn't you say to let me think about it for a few days? Why now? Lu Xiaoyu lowered her voice and asked timidly. Zi Qianshan glanced at her contemptuously. It's your blessing that the president likes you. Don't go too far and look at your own status. Zi Qianshan was known as the #1 beauty in the Heavenly Academy with extremely high innate talent. Therefore, she had always been elegant and noble, only to be admired from afar and not to be profaned. In the interclass competition, her gentleness and awareness were used to deceive the other forces. However, beauties always had the capital to be capricious. Zi Qianshan was beautiful and capable. Her unattainable status made people feel more mysterious and fell in love with her. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes turned red, bit her lower lip and whispered, It's not me who wants to be the vice president, why are you getting angry at me? If you want to be the vice president, vent your anger at the president. Lu Xiaoyu was not one to be criticized. Her unceremonious counterattack made Zi Qianshan's face turn extremely ugly. Logically speaking, Lu Shuiyu had left the faculty council, and the vice president position should be taken over by Zi Qianshan. Si Yen Mu inexplicably brought Lu Xiaoyu into the faculty council and even handed over the position of vice president to Lu Xiaoyu. This Lu Xiaoyu was just a freshman. Furthermore, he was a freshman with ordinary talent and wasn't considered smart. The reason why she remembered the name Lu Xiaoyu was because this Lu Xiaoyu was Yiqing Luo's friend. How could Zi Qianshan feel balanced? You haven't become the vice president yet and you're already putting on airs? Zi Qianshan approached Lu Xiaoyu, lowered her voice and raised her eyebrows with a faint smile. Don't think that you can really do whatever you want just because you have the president's support. In this regard, Lu Xiaoyu only wanted to say one sentence. Miss, are you sick in the head? Lu Xiaoyu estimated that she must be sick and seriously sick. Seeing the disdain in Lu Xiaoyu's eyes, Zi Qianshan's face darkened. Lu Xiaoyu. His fingers were clenched into a fist. She heard Si Yen Mu's low voice. Qianshan, enough. Hearing the anger in Si Yen Mu's tone, Zi Qianshan's heart was filled with grievances, but he still kept his mouth shut. He snorted coldly at Lu Xiaoyu, then turned his head to look in the direction of the students, who were watching from the sidelines. Qing Luo. Lu Xiaoyu couldn't be bothered to talk to Zi Qianshan as she turned her gaze towards Yiqing Luo and waved at her desperately. Seeing Yiqing Luo again, Lu Xiaoyu was obviously extremely happy. She glanced at Si Yen Mu from the corner of her eyes and hesitated for a moment. He still rushed to Yiqing Luo's side. Qing Luo, I missed you so much. Lu Xiaoyu threw herself into Yiqing Luo's arms, her petite body pressed against Yiqing Luo's. Come to think of it, the two of them had not seen each other for more than half a month. What had happened in this half a month? Lu Xiaoyu and Si Yenmu. Yiqing Luo gently patted Lu Xiaoyu's back. Her gaze vigilantly looked at Si Yenmu, who was standing not too far away with a smile on his face. She secretly speculated in her heart, was Si Yenmu looking for Lu Xiaoyu because of her? Chapter 1368. Yiqing Luo's hand on her shoulder paused slightly. What happened? Lu Xiaoyu was not a fool. It was impossible for Si Yenmu to look for her and let her be the vice president. She happily thought that it was because of her outstanding ability and her inner beauty that Si Yenmu found out about, so he looked for her. Si Yenmu looked for her, an unremarkable freshman. He must be up to no good. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu's mood was also extremely complicated. The president suddenly found me and asked me if I was willing to be the vice president of the faculty council. Lu Xiaoyu shook her head. He didn't say why he wanted me to be the vice president. He just repeatedly asked me if I was willing. In other words, Si Yenmu had never contacted Lu Xiaoyu before. But all of a sudden, he came to find Lu Xiaoyu? What was Si Yenmu's purpose? Just because Lu Xiaoyu became the vice president, he could use Lu Xiaoyu to control her? Yiqing Luo had more or less heard the argument between Zi Qianqian and Lu Xiaoyu earlier. Lu Xiaoyu did not promise Si Yenmu to be the vice president of the faculty council. He just replied that he would consider it. But before Lu Xiaoyu could think of an answer, Si Yenmu forcefully announced Lu Xiaoyu's existence to the students. This was obviously forcing Lu Xiaoyu to become the vice president. Such behavior made Yiqing Luo even more suspicious of Si Yenmu's motive. Little Yu wants to become the vice guild leader? Yiqing Luo did not directly voice out her suspicions towards Si Yenmu but asked Lu Xiaoyu about her own thoughts. After all, Si Yenmu had been in the academy for a few years and had also served as the president of the faculty council for a few years. His influence in the academy was not inferior to anyone in the elder council. His reputation was high, his ability was outstanding, and he was loved by everyone in the academy. Such a man, if Yiqing Luo really showed her contempt and suspicion towards Si Yenmu in front of so many people, this group of students would definitely spit on her and drown her in it. She could be willful and disrespect the faculty council with her strength. However, he must not touch the bottom line of the student. Just like in the eyes of the students of the devil class, she was the spiritual pillar of the devil class, the light of hope for the devil class. Once someone questioned her existence, questioned her ability. This had touched the bottom line of the devil class. I'll show you what I can do. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips and thought in distress. To be honest, I want to give it a try. After a pause, her frown deepened. But you know me. I'm not smart, and I'm not a rich young lady. I don't understand this kind of thing at all. Yiqing Luo looked at her quietly, her gaze was gentle and her smile was light. He encouraged Lu Xiaoyu to say what he wanted to say. But this is a rare opportunity to learn. Lu Xiaoyu's gaze gradually became firm, and the expression on her face gradually changed from the slightly timid expression to one of radiance. Perhaps I will cause a lot of trouble, but I want to grow to the point where I can help Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly softened. This lass, in the end, he was still thinking about her. Yiqing Luo was very clear. She gradually released the light from her body. The gap between the two of them, who were originally walking side by side, grew wider and wider. Although Lu Xiaoyu did not say it out loud, she was actually very upset in her heart. This was not because of jealousy. On the contrary, Yiqing Luo was able to grow so quickly and release her own light. Lu Xiaoyu was very happy and elated. Only, seeing her good sister becoming stronger, she could not catch up to her good sister's footsteps. Chapter 1369. Because of this, the last time when Yiqing Luo invited Lu Xiaoyu to join the World Mercenary Group, Lu Xiaoyu rejected. It wasn't that Lu Xiaoyu didn't want to join, but she wasn't willing to drag Yiqing Luo down. This time, the position of Faculty Council's vice president gave her a good learning opportunity. If she could do the vice president's position well, she would definitely be able to help Yiqing Luo. Then go and do it. Yiqing Luo smiled as she caressed her head. Xiao Yu wants to learn, then agree to the president's request. But Lu Xiaoyu's eyelids drooped. Yiqing Luo had a few conflicts with the faculty council, and she was the clearest about it. Even Master Gui Yu had created a huge ruckus in the faculty council. If she agreed to become the faculty council's vice president, wouldn't that be betraying Yiqing Luo? No buts. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she stopped her words. Don't you want to grow and help me? Following that, she lowered her voice to a volume that only the two of them could hear and said, I don't have anyone in the faculty council. If you're the vice president of the faculty council, the students of the devil class will have more freedom in the academy. Lu Xiaoyu was stunned as her pupils widened. Not waiting for her to cry out in shock, Yiqing Luo had already rubbed her head, as though she was a big sister, placating her. Just do according to what Xiaoyu has in mind, you only need to remember one point. Me, devil class, will be your backing. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips as her eyes glistened with tears. She was touched, but I'm afraid I can't do it well. I'm not smart and have no innate talent. Nonsense. Yiqing Luo interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's self-deprecation. Xiaoyu, do you know what your biggest strength is? Lu Xiaoyu had a blank look. It's your persistence and unyielding faith. Yiqing Luo smiled. Do you still remember the first time we were at the freshman training grounds? All the freshmen had given up on running, only you persisted in running the entire course. After that, for all the training, you will persist in completing every single task. Yiqing Luo's smile became warmer. You're great, much better than what you imagined. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes instantly turned red. And I will definitely work hard. She clenched her fists tightly and turned around. Facing Si Yenmu, she bowed and said, President in the future, please guide me. Si Yenmu's eyes were warm, he smiled and nodded. Welcome to the Faculty Council, Vice President. Lu Xiaoyu bent her waist even lower. I will try my best not to cause trouble for the President. Hearing the incessant chatter, Yiqing Luo helplessly laughed out as she walked forward to help Lu Xiaoyu up. Her charming eyes slightly lifted, and looked into Boss Yenmu's eyes. President in the future. Xiaoyu will have to trouble you. If Xiaoyu causes you any trouble, please don't hesitate to look for me. I will not stand on ceremony. Si Yenmu smiled elegantly. Yiqing Luo returned a smile. Since you're already the vice president of the faculty council, I'll leave all the matters of the faculty council to you. Zi Qianqian, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. She crossed her arms over her chest and coldly glanced at the young lady who was kneeling by the side, sobbing softly. The student's portrait, that is the student's privacy, and also something that the school pays great attention to protecting. She snuck into the president's office and stole the devil class's portrait. Vice President, how do you think we should deal with this? Yan Zhenfei, who was kneeling on the ground, suddenly trembled. She thought that the people from the faculty council had shifted their attention away from her. Why did it involve her again? Chapter 1370. Lu Xiaoyu's expression stiffened. I deal with it? She looked over at Yan Zhenfei. Coincidentally, Yan Zhenfei was staring at her with a venomous gaze. Lu Xiaoyu was so shocked that she took a step back towards Yiqing Luo. The expression on her face turned uglier. I don't know about these. Before she could say the word understand, Si Yenmu's gentle voice had interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's rejection. Qianqian's suggestion is not bad then, this matter will be handed over to the vice president to deal with. His gaze was gentle and his smile made one feel as if spring had bloomed. As if he really didn't hear Lu Xiaoyu's rejection. And didn't see Lu Xiaoyu's increasingly ugly expression. Instead, it was the kind of gaze that encouraged his juniors to complete the task well, making one have no choice but to accept this task, no choice but to obey his orders. Yen Mu was a natural leader. He could easily manipulate people's emotions, making people involuntarily listen to his arrangements. Such a person was indeed suitable to be the faculty council president. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu's refusal was stuck in her throat. The words that came out of her mouth were completely different from the words that came out of her brain. Okay. I will try my best. Just as the voice fell, Lu Xiaoyu stopped in annoyance. She covered her mouth tightly with both hands. Slender eyelashes were desperately fluttering. The beautiful eyes under the eyelashes stared at Yen Mu, incomparably annoyed. Qianqian snorted coldly, unable to conceal the coldness and disdain between her brows. Then, Vice President, I will have to trouble you here. After that, she used a cold and arrogant gaze to look at the students around her. This student, Lu Xiaoyu, will be the future vice president of the faculty council. She is a freshman, so, students, don't forget to help this newly appointed vice president in the future. The president and I still have things to deal with in the faculty council. Everyone must get along peacefully. That tone was raised to an extremely high pitch. Yiqing Luo felt that it was a little ear-piercing. Qianqian deliberately emphasized the words, help. The meaning in those words was extremely obvious. A freshman became the vice president of the faculty council. For countless old students, as well as Lu Shuiyu's group of supporters, they would never give up. Moreover, Lu Xiaoyu was just an ordinary freshman. Even now, he only had the title of vice president. However, Qianqian's words clearly indicated that this vice president did not have the slightest bit of authority. Qianqian was the one who held the true authority of the vice president. You're too polite, student Z. Suddenly, a clear voice came from beside Lu Xiaoyu. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an extremely shallow smile, her charming eyes curved into a long and narrow arc. Just by looking forward with a faint smile, she exuded a demonic charm. I'm very happy for Xiaoyu that my little sister is valued by the president. Her voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't soft either. His tone and tone were controlled just right. It was clearly domineering and overbearing, but it was impossible for others to feel aversion towards it. This is my sister's first time taking on such an important position. I believe that she will be able to gradually grow with everyone's help. If one day this sister of mine is able to hold her own, I, Yiqing Luo, will definitely represent the entire devil class to thank all the students for their help. Yiqing Luo's words were sincere and sincere. A pair of smiling eyes also sincerely looked at the surrounding people. Yiqing Luo's words had just landed. Chapter 1371. What a joke! This was Yiqing Luo's sister. Who was Yiqing Luo? The most popular person in the school. The champion of this year's interclass competition. They had already witnessed Yiqing Luo's strength in the interclass competition. In just a few months' time, she was able to turn from a waste to the current. Earth Profound 4th Grade Profound Cultivator. This kind of advancement speed. In this world, only the Overlord from the Imperial Palace could be comparable to her. Speaking of the Overlord, didn't Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian have that kind of relationship? Everyone was clear about the relationship between Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo when it concerned the Overlord. But they would never mention the fact that Yiqing Luo had not reported to her parents and had already decided to marry the Overlord, which was such an immoral thing. Yes, there was still the Overlord. Obviously, Yiqing Luo was the most popular person in the school now. They naturally had to stand on Yiqing Luo's side. As for the number one beauty, Qianqian in the last interclass competition, they were already full of things to complain about. Now she was still arrogant and commanding everyone. It was more reliable for them to stand on Yiqing Luo's side. At least, looking at Yiqing Luo's attitude towards Lu Xiaoyu and her attitude towards her classmates, it was very clear. Yiqing Luo must be an affectionate and righteous woman. The cheers of the students were mixed with sarcasm and ridicule towards Zi Qianqian. Zi Qianqian, who had not gone far, had a gloomy expression. If Si Yen Mu had not stopped her, she would have rushed forward and had another battle with Yiqing Luo. Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Si Yen Mu's tone was still gentle. But what he said made Zi Qianqian's eyes redden. Towards Si Yen Mu, Zi Qianqian still did not have the usual arrogance and condescension. Si Yen Mu was the class monitor of the God class. Zi Qianqian naturally respected him. President Lu Xiaoyu has become the vice president of the faculty council. Since Yiqing Luo is so affectionate, then she is bound to be involved with the faculty council. By then, Si Yen Mu's voice sank, his gentle eyes narrowed slightly. Zi Qianqian frowned. Why tie Yiqing Luo to the faculty council? Just based on her, what qualifications does she have to be involved with the faculty council? Si Yen Mu did not answer. He rubbed his chin, the coldness in his eyes faintly flowing. Why? Because he was a member of the underworld. For his Xiang, he wanted to pave a straight path to the destination. Lu Xiaoyu was the best candidate. In the afternoon, Xie Yan brought good news. Director and Elder Quarters had already agreed for Yiqing Luo to retain Devil Class. As for High Profound Class 2, it was temporarily vacant. Thank you for abiding by our agreement. Yiqing Luo looked at the contract in her hands, which was signed by the Director and the Elder's Quarters, as she gave a satisfied smile. She folded the contract and placed it in the Profound Phoenix ring. With this contract in hand, all the students in the Devil class were all free and unfettered. In this heavenly academy, no matter if it was the dean or the elders, no one had the authority to order the students of the Devil class to do anything. Xie Yan shook his head. Since it's an agreement, I will naturally do my best. Yiqing Luo smiled. That's right. Xie Yan hesitated for a while as he looked away unnaturally. I heard. Xiao Yu has become the vice president of the faculty council? Xiao Yu? Chapter 1372. The faculty council. She's just a new student. Wouldn't that be too much pressure for her? Xie Yan tried to be tactful. The interest in Yiqing Luo's eyes intensified. Student Xie seems to care a lot about Xiao Yu? Xie Yan's handsome face instantly flushed red. His gaze wandered around unnaturally. No, it's just that we used to be in the same class. As the former class monitor, when I heard that she had become the vice president of the faculty council, I naturally showed some concern. It's my first time coming into contact with the affairs of the faculty council, and I'm also the vice president. The pressure must be huge. Yiqing Luo stopped teasing Xie Yan as her lips curled into a smile. But to Xiao Yu, this is a huge turning point in her life. This is Xiao Yu's choice. No matter how much pressure she's under, no matter how busy she is, as long as she doesn't tell her to stop, she will be able to hold on. Xie Yan paused. After a long while, he finally nodded his head. Xiao Yu's potential is immeasurable. When she slowly matures and transforms, she will definitely break out of her cocoon and become a butterfly. Yiqing Luo smiled as she muttered to herself. Metamorphosis from a cocoon to a butterfly. Xie Yan's eyes were overflowing with gentleness. Xiao Yu is a smart girl. I'm sure you've heard about the first mission that was announced after Xiao Yu was appointed, right? Xie Yan nodded. Lu Xiaoyu had indeed dealt with Yan Zhenfei. However, the way to deal with it was not what everyone expected, to take the chance to kill Yan Zhenfei. Lu Xiaoyu was very fair and strict. Slandering a Devil class student was a huge offense. Being disrespectful to a teacher was a grave offense. Stealing a student's portrait from the faculty council and betraying a student's privacy had severely damaged the reputation of the academy. Lu Xiaoyu forced Yan Zhenfei out of the faculty council as a warning to others. As for the matter of betraying a student's privacy, the student who was betrayed was the Devil class. Under Lu Xiaoyu's pleading, the students of the Devil class chose to forgive Yen Zhenfei and no longer pursued the matter. Therefore, according to the rules of the Faculty Council, Lu Xiaoyu noted down 2 minor demerits for Yen Zhenfei and announced it to the entire academy, criticizing Yen Zhenfei's behavior. Of course, this was not the most important thing. What made Yiqing Luo unable to restrain her laughter was, Lu Xiaoyu was also a black-bellied girl. She said that Yen Zhenfei's thoughts were not correct and that she was impatient. It was extremely imposing. He led the members of the Faculty Council and personally escorted Yen Zhenfei back to the Yen family. He told Yen Zhenfei to recuperate at home for 2 months before returning to the academy. Although, he did not expel Yen Zhenfei from the academy. But this punishment was no different from the humiliation Yen Zhenfei had suffered when she was expelled from the academy. However, all of Lu Xiaoyu's punishments were reasonable. Speaking of which, he was already being merciful. This was enough to prove that Lu Xiaoyu was not as stupid as she seemed on the surface. Her intelligence and meticulousness were hidden in her heart. If it's possible, when student Xie is free, help me take a look at Xiao Yu, guide her and give her some help. I think Xiao Yu will be very grateful to you. Yiqing Luo said with a smile. Xie Yan suddenly raised his head. Of course, I will definitely help Xiao Yu. These words were spoken extremely quickly, and they were sonorous and forceful. It was as if he had blurted out his inner thoughts. Xie Yan realized that he was overreacting and hurriedly explained, As the former class president, it's only right for me to care about my former classmates. Yiqing Luo smiled without saying a word, until she sent Xie Yan off with her eyes. Yiqing Luo turned around and returned to the Devil class's courtyard. In the following days, they had to prepare for the Academy's exchange meet, which was half a month later. The director and Wolf Saint Technique had prepared such a huge surprise for the Devil class in South Continent. Chapter 1373. Devil class was back on the right track. Everything was the same as before. But more or less there was some difference. In the past, when these students appeared in the academy, no one cared about them. Now, no matter where these students went, they would be chased by a group of fangirls. Even Ni Rua Pan, Bei Ming Liancheng, and the rest of the profound grades, who were currently in the mystic profound grades, had captured a large number of supporters who were even higher than them. Initially, Devil class's students were still enjoying it. After all, these people used to look down on them, ridiculing them, saying that they were trash. But now, no matter where they went, they were respected, admired, and envied. Of course, this didn't mean that these youngsters were too complacent. These were all youngsters in their teens, so their minds were not mature yet. Naturally, they would be complacent because of the change in the students' attitude towards them. But, after a long time, these students tasted the pressure of being supported and flattered by their supporters. They had to undergo extremely strict training every day. There was the integrated training from the few members of the class committee, and also Guei Yu's training. After that, they had to be surrounded by the other students, asking them some messy questions. Wherever they went, there would be people following them. Over time, these students simply holed up in the courtyard of the Devil class, too lazy to go out. Yiqing Luo had also experienced the ancient method of chasing after stars. This degree of craziness was absolutely not inferior to those fans in the modern era. The other students, after going through the interclass competition, initially didn't feel that Devil class's performance was very impressive. To be able to obtain victory, that was because of Yiqing Luo's good luck. But under the intentional popularization, how Devil class's students cooperated, how they pretended to be disheveled, in actual fact they were leading those students in circles to deplete their energy. Following that, Yiqing Luo specially placed some of Devil class's physical training on the public square. These training was even stricter than their freshmen's training. Those students who thought that they were elite students, after seeing these training, were completely defeated. Even the 2 cold-faced instructors in charge of the freshman training, Instructor He and Instructor Chu, had joined their training. Devil class was indeed no longer the previous waste class. It could be said that Devil class was completely popular. Yiqing Luo's reputation became even more resounding. But these few days Yiqing Luo obviously felt a trace of strangeness. How should one describe this feeling? It seemed that ever since they returned from the Shi family's residence, these youths in Devil class had an obvious change in attitude towards her, Long Yunzhan and the rest. Long Yunzhan also felt this change. The youths of Devil class were still the same youths. However, they seemed to be more respectful and well-behaved toward her and Long Yunzhan. She would never go against anything they had said. They were so well-behaved that they didn't seem like children of their age. If it was in the past, she wanted to strengthen the training, although these youths would still listen to her orders obediently in the end. But before he listened, he would definitely wail incessantly or even roll around and act cute, asking Yiqing Luo to cancel her plan of strengthening the training. Being obedient was a good thing. But Yiqing Luo recalled that when they were at the Shi family's residence, their attitude towards her and Shi Shanglan was obviously different. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but creased her brows. He always felt that it was too easy to get out of the Shi family's residence. Chapter 1374. Yiqing Luo's mind was filled with messy thoughts, unable to stop. She sighed as she pushed open the door to the dormitory which she had not stepped into for half a month. She could obviously feel that when she stayed in the Devil class, those youngsters' emotions were too tensed up. She might as well return to the dormitory. If she wasn't around, those youngsters should be able to relax. Walking into the dormitory, she discovered that there was no one around. Thinking about it, it made sense. After Liu Xiaoyu took over the vice president's position, she had been at the faculty council every day, trying her best to learn the vice president's ability. As for Mo Yuing, she appeared and disappeared unpredictably. If she didn't want to appear, basically no one would be able to see her. The other Liu Shuiyu. It seemed like after the interclass competition, there was no news of her coming to the academy. Looking at the empty dormitory, Yiqing Luo sighed softly as she walked into her own dormitory. So lonely. All along, she had been together with the students, and had never separated before. Now she was isolated by the students. This feeling was not good at all. I'm not around Lil Luo or feels lonely? A mellow and deep voice that was as mellow as fine wine rang in his ears. That distance was extremely close, as though it was right next to her ear. Yiqing Luo got a shock as she immediately turned around. Warm, thin lips brushed past her skin. Yiqing Luo had yet to react, and at the moment she turned around, she felt the world spinning as her feet left the ground. She cried out in shock as she subconsciously wrapped her arms around the man's neck. A warm kiss landed on her lip. The elegant sandalwood scent filled up Yiqing Luo's empty heart. Ah Xian! Yiqing Luo's breathing was hurried as she called out Mo Xian's name. Her voice had just left her mouth. The next moment she was already pressed onto the soft bed. A head of fine black hair scattered onto the white pillow. His scorching hot body pressed down. Ah Xian! Yiqing Luo's face was flushed red, both her hands propped on his chest as she lowered her eyes. Mo Xian narrowed his long peach blossom eyes as he gazed deeply at the woman below him. A beauty that could topple a city, her eyes were like silk as she emitted a charming invitation. Sparkling peach blossom eyes, the lustrous luster became darker. It seemed even more profound and intoxicating. Ah Xian, don't press on me, it's very heavy. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were stained with tears as she was extremely shy. When they were in the Shi family's residence, Mo Xian would basically appear in her room at night, hugging her to sleep. When she woke up the next day, he was nowhere to be found. And after returning to the academy, Mo Xian still needed to use the identity of revered Mo to handle the matters of the academy. As a result, It had been a long time since they had had a proper conversation or interaction. She hadn't expected him to appear in her dormitory room at this time. He had even used his true appearance to show himself. Wasn't he afraid of being discovered by the students of the academy or other teachers? Lil Luo, without you by my side, I also feel so lonely. The man's low and hoarse voice seemed to carry countless tenderness. It made one involuntarily want to sink into his warmth. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped uncontrollably. At the same time, Dmo Xian slightly propped up his body, to avoid his entire body's weight, pressing onto Yiqing Luo. However, he only moved away a little. His hot chest was still tightly pressed against her body. Chapter 1375. He lowered his eyelids and met her gaze. His scorching gaze seemed to burn her body. Yiqing Luo felt her entire body was burning hot. She instinctively shifted her gaze away and stretched out her hand to push his burning hot chest as she bit her lips. Ah Xian, you get up first. Dmo Xian's gaze was so blatant. How could she not tell what the burning flames in Dmo Xian's eyes represented? Yiqing Luo evaded. Dmo Xian closed in. His slender fingers gently stroked the air. The greenish-white uniform immediately fell off his body, revealing the watercolored doo-doo underneath. Ah Xian! Yiqing Luo pressed his scorching palm as she twisted her body and shrunk in the opposite direction. But before she could move, his body was pinned under his body by a large palm. Dmo Xian's eyes were fixated on her delicate face. Lil Luo, have you forgotten what I said earlier? Yiqing Luo's cheeks suddenly turned red. He said, in a few days I will make her cry for mercy. This was already a few days had passed. Her reliance to provoke Dmo Xian, ant menstruation, had already paid a visit and left. Looking at Dmo Xian's current stance, it was obvious that he would not give up until he achieved his goal. She had to think of a way. Oh! Before she could think of a way, Yiqing Luo's mind suddenly went blank as her petite body started trembling. His hand actually slid directly into the doo-doo. That touch stimulated Yiqing Luo like an electric shock. Reflexively, she pressed Dmo Xian's hand again. But Dmo Xian's reaction was faster than her. He directly grabbed both her hands and raised them above her head. His body had already moved downwards, using his mouth to replace the action of his hands. She had lived 2 lifetimes. This was the first time Yiqing Luo was touched in this way. She only felt a numbing electric shock from head to toe, making her unable to muster up any strength. Her mind was also blank. She almost cried out uncontrollably. Ah Xian, wait! I have something to tell you. It's the Academy's recent matters. Dmo Xian added more force. We'll talk about it later. Yiqing Luo sucked in a mouthful of cold air as she stuttered, and Devil Class's students Dmo Xian abruptly opened his doo-doo. We'll talk about it later. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were already sparkling and translucent, as her body trembled uncontrollably. The consciousness in her mind also started to dissipate, but... He leaned down and kissed her lips forcefully. His hands didn't stop moving. Can't you shut your mouth? The next day, when Yiqing Luo woke up, the sky was already bright. She wanted to rub her eyes, but she felt sore all over. He didn't even have the strength to lift his hand. It was as if someone had broken his bones and then reconstructed his body. She frowned and groaned. Let's rest a little longer. Suddenly, she heard a man's low and hoarse voice. Yiqing Luo cried out in shock as she raised her head abruptly and met with a pair of peach blossom eyes which were filled with a satisfied and pampering smile. The memories from last night immediately rushed into his mind. Her cheeks suddenly turned red. Last night she and Dmo Xian. She was actually eaten by Dmo Xian. And it really came true to Dmo Xian's words. She cried for mercy. Her cries were heart-wrenching and extremely tragic. But a beast like Dmo Xian. She was begging for mercy. and couldn't stop Diemo Xian's actions. Tired. Feel. No. Love. Diemo Xian held her slender wrist with one hand. Yiqing Luo's body stiffened as her face turned crimson red. She cried out in a hoarse voice, "No. I can't anymore, Ah Xian, don't." She was still in pain now. This man who had just started, didn't know how to control himself? Wait. Diemo Xian's past, she had no way to understand. And how could she be sure that Diemo Xian had just started? Last night's actions were so skillful, could it be that in the past? The wild thoughts in her mind had yet to come to a conclusion. Diemo Xian had already pulled her body into his embrace. Their exposed skin was tightly pressed against each other. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the changes in her body. So shy that she wanted to retreat. But she had no energy. Lil Luo. He called out her name in a low voice. Yiqing Luo was bashful and confused about the reason why his proficiency points were maxed out. She gave a muffled N in his arms. Chapter 1376. Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her eyes. Her tearful eyes met his. His breathing suddenly stopped. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. He said he loved her. Diemo Xian had said a lot of sweet nothings, but this was the first time he had sincerely said the word love. She knew that Diemo Xian loved her, but based on Diemo Xian's character, he would absolutely not say such a confession. She had never thought that Diemo Xian would say this. At this moment, she heard it from his mouth. Yiqing Luo only felt that her world was blooming with colorful fireworks, soreness all over, the pain in his body, as well as earlier, because Diemo Xian might have had sexual relations with other women in the past. Everything was thrown to the back of his mind. She smiled happily. "I love you too, Ah Xian." A rough and urgent kiss landed on her lip. Yiqing Luo moaned softly as her swollen lips were ravaged by him viciously. It hurt a little. His body temperature rose again. It scorched Yiqing Luo's skin. Yiqing Luo wanted to struggle. Ah Xian, stop, this man, why doesn't he seem to be full? If he did it again, she would be the one who was going to be broken. Don't, Ah Xian. It hurts, it really hurts. Yiqing Luo showed her weakness as she held Diemo Xian's hand, her charming eyes looking at him pitifully. Diemo Xian's body stiffened and immediately tensed up. This kind of begging and showing of weakness made his desire burn even more vigorously. He really wanted to press Yiqing Luo onto his body again, to properly feel her existence. Last night's tightness and that comfortable feeling. No matter how much he ate, he couldn't beat them. However, he still forced himself to hold on and stop. He propped himself up and gazed deeply at the girl with crimson cheeks and seductive eyes. Her eyes were hazy and seductive. Her hair, which was drenched in sweat, clung tightly to her skin, making her look extremely sexy. It was clear that she was aroused. However, there was a glimmer of tears at the corner of her eyes. Her petite body could not stop trembling. He had lost his self-control last night, eating Yiqing Luo over and over again. No wonder Yiqing Luo was crying out in pain. He turned sideways and fell beside Yiqing Luo as he stretched out his hand and caressed her body. "Where does it hurt? Why are you asking when you already know the answer?" Yiqing Luo was so angry that her cheeks turned red as she gritted her teeth and rebuked. "Here?" He reached out and touched the place where he had played with her. Yiqing Luo's petite body couldn't stop trembling as her breathing quickened. "Emperor? Xian." His fingers were very gentle. It was as if he was touching the most precious thing in the world. Yiqing Luo's body trembled, but she didn't feel any pain at all. Diemo Xian withdrew his hand and hugged her tightly as his warm lips kissed her panting lips. "I'm sorry, I've hurt you." Seeing that he really had no intention of continuing, Yiqing Luo heaved a sigh of relief. Now, she totally had no way to endure Diemo Xian's crazy plundering. Fortunately, this man had not transformed into a beast. "And it really hurts." Yiqing Luo pouted her lips and cried out pitifully and aggrievedly. But in his heart, he was secretly laughing. She didn't want to pretend to be aggrieved. Wouldn't it allow Diemo to be even more unbridled in the future? For the sake of her future life, she must restrain Diemo desire. I'm sorry. Diemo apologized once again as his long arms wrapped tightly around her petite body. His gaze was deep. I don't have any experience in this area and don't know how to control myself. I've hurt you. I'll be more careful next time. Chapter 1377. This time, she almost lost half of her life. If there was another time, she would definitely die. Wait, what did he just say? Yiqing Luo suddenly reacted. The anger in her eyes turned into surprise and suspicion. You have no experience? No experience? In other words, Diemo had never had a woman before? She was his first woman? Then how did he manage to fill up the proficiency points that he was so familiar with? Where did he get the skills to torment her so badly? The guilt and tenderness in Diemo eyes faded away. He stretched out his hand and pinched her lower jaw directly. The slightly squinted peach blossom eyes were deep and quiet. He stared at her condescendingly with an imposing manner. Are you doubting me? Yiqing Luo was stunned by his imposing manner as she lowered her eyes. I feel that you are very powerful, so. A trace of smile gradually appeared in his quiet eyes. He loosened the strength that pinched her lower jaw and lowered his head. How am I powerful? At such a close distance, Yiqing Luo could feel Diemo breath on her lip. She wanted to retreat, but Diemo hugged her even tighter. His lips were on her face. If you don't explain clearly, I will continue. Diemo Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation. If you tease me again, I will kick you off the bed. Diemo gave a low laugh, but stopped the act of forcing her to say such shameful words. His arms tightened around her as he whispered in her ear. In this big world, the only woman who can enter my eyes is only you. Yiqing Luo's long curly eyelashes fluttered. Was he explaining her previous suspicions? Other than her, he would not touch any other woman. Was this the promise he made to her? Yiqing Luo closed her eyes as her hands tightly circled around his neck. Whether it was a promise or not, at this moment she took it seriously. Diemo was not a person who spoke casually. Whatever he said, he would definitely do it. She believed in Diemo and also believed in the feelings between them. The two of them snuggled together on the bed for another 1 hour. The school bell had already rung for lunch. Yiqing Luo then realized with a start that it was already noon. Oh no. Morning training. She still had to watch the devil class's students train and had actually forgotten about this matter. Yiqing Luo hurriedly tried to get up. The arm that was around her waist pulled her into his embrace. Yiqing Luo's delicate body fell backward. She fell into the scorching embrace of Diemo. Don't underestimate your brothers. Even if you're not here, they won't stop their training. Diemo caressed her fine black hair. Based on your current condition, I'm afraid you won't be able to train your brothers. Yiqing Luo's cheeks blushed slightly as she pouted. Can't you see who's the one who caused this? She was exhausted and had no strength left in her. Even if he went to the devil class, he probably wouldn't be able to do much. It was also possible. The students of the devil class saw through it. You, take a good rest today. Diemo met her reproachful gaze. All right, I'll bring you some food first to replenish your energy. With that, he gently kissed her lip. Following that, he lifted the blanket and got off the bed. Yiqing Luo gave an ah as she tugged the blanket and covered her head. He was actually naked. From head to toe, he was totally naked. She even saw. Cough cough. Chapter 1378. But a beauty was right in front of her. If she didn't take a look, it would be a waste of such a good opportunity. Yiqing Luo was extremely conflicted. After thinking for a moment, she heard the rustling sound of a man putting on his clothes not too far away. Yiqing Luo clenched her teeth as she grabbed the quilt and lifted a small gap. The pitch-black vision was instantly filled with light. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes as she searched for the man's figure in the bedroom. Yiqing Luo saw the man standing by the bed at one glance. He had finished putting on his pants, revealing his well-dressed upper body. Those muscles which were full of tension, the lines were extremely smooth. Strong and muscular body, perfect pectoral muscles, all of which made Yiqing Luo blush. His skin was extremely fair, but there wasn't any sense of incongruity. On the contrary, it made him look even more alluring. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but recall last night, her hands, pressing on his skin in a fluster. Tight and firm, but it made her feel very comfortable. Pooey pooey. Yiqing Luo, who was curled up in the quilt, slammed her face onto the bed. She was actually reminiscing about last night. She didn't feel that he was comfortable. Yiqing Luo's head rubbed on the bed for a long time before she raised her head and looked towards the direction of Diamo Xian. This look almost made Yiqing Luo jump in fright. She had just raised her eyes and looked at Diamo Xian through the small gap. Through the small gap, he saw a peerlessly beautiful face magnified in his eyes at close range. That handsome godlike face with a deep contour. His thin lips were lightly outlined, the arc was devilishly charming. It was totally seducing her, and the rhythm of pouncing on her fiercely. Have you seen enough? His voice was low and hoarse, extremely gentle. Rub rub rub. Now this is awkward. Peeking at a beauty was discovered by the main character. If you haven't seen enough, I'll take it off, you can continue looking? Diamo Xian leaned closer, his arched handsome brows showing his joyful mood. Saying that, his slender fingers had already touched the waist seal, as though he was about to undo it. You, stop. Yiqing Luo's flushed face was boiling hot. She abruptly jumped out of the blanket and stretched out her hand to hold on to Diamo Xian's burning hot palm. No need to take it off, I've seen enough. Diamo Xian raised his brows and narrowed his peach blossom eyes. Just as he was about to open his mouth, he was suppressed by Yiqing Luo's voice, and, that figure is great. Your abs and chest muscles are very tempting. Let me touch your abs and chest some other day. Diamo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo's flushed red little face, thinking that she would be able to squeeze out a sentence after holding it in for so long. Ha 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 ha. Unexpectedly, was he being teased by Lil Luo? The feeling of being flirted with was not bad at all. Yiqing Luo's complexion was boiling hot. Listening to the man's exaggerated laughter, she sat up angrily, raised her fist and hit him. You still laugh at me? I'll hammer your chest with my little fists. Her voice was half coquettish, half coquettish. This made Diamo Xian's mood even more joyous, and his smile became even more joyous. Yiqing Luo couldn't wait to dig a hole and hide in it. Suddenly, Diamo Xian grabbed her wrist and moved it towards his chest. Following that, he grabbed her hand and slowly moved it downwards. Yiqing Luo was shocked and wanted to retract her hand. But how could her strength match up to Diamo Xian? She was dragged by him and groped all over his chest and abdomen. Chapter 1379. Hey. Flirting and driving at the slightest disagreement, this was against the rules all right. Yiqing Luo was extremely embarrassed and had no way to struggle free from Diamo Xian. Beast! I'm not thinking of touching you now. I'm hungry, hurry and buy me something to eat. She acted like a queen as she commanded Diamo Xian. Diamo Xian's eyes were gentle as he held her wrist tightly and placed it on his waist as he bent over and kissed her lip. The warm lips brought with it a restrained desire. He wanted Yiqing Luo, and all the hopes he had for her were all contained in this kiss. Yiqing Luo was kissed till she couldn't breathe. She naturally sensed his thoughts from the intense kiss. Yiqing Luo's face flushed red as her delicate body fell limply into his arms. This kiss almost took half of Yiqing Luo's life. Yiqing Luo felt that she was about to faint. In his mind, everything in front of him was white, as though something had exploded in front of her eyes. She panted heavily as she leaned into Diemo Xian's arms, totally without any energy to resist. Lil Luo, really don't want to stop. Diemo Xian's deep eyes were emitting a dense whirlpool. He tightened his grip on her waist. Even through the clothes, Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the scorching heat emitted from Diemo Xian's body, burning everything about her. He wanted again. Yiqing Luo's face flushed red. Although she knew clearly that this kind of thing, if Diemo Xian continued to hold it in, he might possibly get sick. But she was really in pain. There was really no other way to endure Diemo Xian's plunder. What should she do? Yiqing Luo's mind was in a dilemma. Diemo Xian's deep eyes gazed deeply at the young lady below him. That trembling body and fluttering eyelashes, all of them were sending him a silent invitation. Diemo Xian took a deep breath and used an extremely strong willpower to shift his gaze away. He tensed his body and clenched his fists as he suddenly retracted his hand and stood up straight. He could not touch Yiqing Luo. Although he had no experience in this aspect, he didn't know what kind of feeling a lady would have after experiencing her first night. But he remembered that when he invaded last night, Yiqing Luo was in so much pain that tears welled up in her eyes. He still remembered her hoarse voice last night, crying for mercy. He had no control. His mad plunder. He must have hurt Yiqing Luo. If you touch her now, Lil Luo Er's body would definitely not be able to withstand it. That. Xian, if you can't hold it in, Yiqing Luo was just about to say that she couldn't hold it in. If he was gentler, she could still, but the next moment, Diemo Xian had already pulled the blanket over and wrapped her up tightly. Lil Luo if you tempt me again, even if you beg for mercy, I will not stop. His voice was slightly hoarse as he suppressed his strong emotions. After he finished speaking, he clenched his fists and immediately turned around to walk out of the room. Xian, Yiqing Luo's voice had just left her mouth when Diemo Xian's figure had already disappeared from the bedroom. Yiqing Luo straightened her body, enduring the soreness in her waist. His feet slipped out of the blanket and he was about to get off the bed. Only then did he realize that his body, he was completely naked. In other words, she had just stopped Diemo Xian from releasing the waist seal. The way she looked in front of Diemo Xian? Cough cough. All along, she was completely naked. Had Diemo Xian seen everything? Yiqing Luo buried her head into the pillow in embarrassment, as she let out a bashful howl. When had she been so careless? Heavens! Chapter 1380. No matter how much Yiqing Luo wailed, she was so shy that she didn't want to see Diemo Xian again. She could only obediently stay in the bedroom and wait for Diemo Xian to send her food back. She thought that her stamina was pretty good. But she estimated that no matter how strong his physical strength was, he would not be able to withstand Diemo Xian's plundering. She did not even have the strength to stand up. Not to mention getting dressed, leaving the bedroom and avoiding Diemo Xian. Yiqing Luo cupped her burning cheeks, trying her best to retract the words which she had almost said earlier from her mind. I can't think about it anymore. If she continued to think about it, she would really dig a hole. Yiqing Luo buried her head into the pillow, holding her face as she muttered to herself. Gradually he became drowsy. Not knowing how much time had passed, Yiqing Luo heard a slight sound beside her ear. She opened her eyes in a daze and saw a man in a flowing purple robe sitting on the side of the bed, staring at her sleeping face. Xian, Yiqing Luo blushed as she struggled to get up. When did you come back? Diemo Xian's long arms stretched out and wrapped around her waist, lifting her up. Yiqing Luo still remembered that her naked body was seen clearly by Diemo Xian earlier. She lowered her head in embarrassment and wanted to pull the blanket over herself. However, he realized that he had put on a white inner garment at some point. She blushed. Diemo Xian when did he help her put on her clothes? Why was she completely unaware of it? Her perceptive ability had become so bad? Little Luo Dmo Xian looked at her gently. Her voice was gentle, and the expression on her face was so tender that it seemed as if water could be squeezed out of it. I'm sorry for hurting you, huh? Yiqing Luo couldn't react in time. Dmo Xian's hand had already wrapped around her body tightly. His chin rested on her shoulder. Even the scorching breath he exhaled was filled with a thick sense of guilt. I don't know. It's a woman's first time, and she can't bear such rough behavior. Dmo Xian tightened his grip. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her face instantly turned red. You? What are you saying this for, His voice suddenly stopped. Because Dmo Xian's embrace was a little too big. Her body was encircled by Dmo Xian. His body rose a little bit. A cool and refreshing feeling came from beneath his body. That coolness soothed the swelling and pain from Dmo Xian's craziness last night. You, where are you? Yiqing Luo was about to scream out loud. This man, when she was asleep, did not just put her underwear on. He even applied ointment there. Was it necessary to be so filial? She no longer had the face to look at Dmo Xian's face. She had no face to talk to Dmo Xian anymore. Damn it! Could she dig a hole and escape? Sorry for hurting you last night. Dmo Xian apologized tenderly once again. His gentleness made Yiqing Luo's soaring arrogance gradually calm down. Carefully sensing, he could feel that Dmo Xian's body was trembling slightly. He was really remorseful for his behavior last night. Where did he learn these things from? But Yiqing Luo didn't delve into this point. She simply stretched out her arms and wrapped them around his waist as she whispered, "It's fine. It's fine as long as it's you." Last night, she was in pain. He was in so much pain that he was going to die. But in this pain, she was rejoicing that she could become one with Dmo Xian. She finally accepted everything about Dmo Xian. She became Dmo Xian's woman. To tell the truth, she was satisfied, painful but happy. Chapter 1381. Lil Luo Dmo Xian caressed her face as his peach blossom eyes were filled with tenderness. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and cupped his face as she burst out laughing. Silly, I already said it's all right, and I'm really happy. Her words paused as her fingers pinched his nose instead. She straightened her body and stared at him with a rude and unreasonable look. Now, you're already mine and I've stamped my seal. In future, other than me, you're not allowed to look at any other woman. The smile on Dmo Xian's face became even more devilish. The glistening light embellished his inky black eyes. Other than you, I won't look at anyone else. That's good. Yiqing Luo nodded her head in satisfaction as she released his nose and said with a tsundra look, I'm hungry, serve this queen my meal. The smile on Dmo Xian's face became even more intense. That smile, that curved eyebrows, those long and narrow eyes. It revealed a warmth and tenderness that made one's heart beat endlessly. Yiqing Luo was no exception. She was bewitched by Dmo Xian's smile until she almost lost her soul. Yes, my queen. Dmo Xian smiled as he placed the steaming hot porridge aside. It was extremely light, but it gave off an alluring fragrance, which aroused one's appetite. Yiqing Luo, who had worked hard for the entire night and hadn't eaten anything for the entire day. Immediately, his stomach began to growl. Dmo Xian smiled as he scooped up a spoonful of porridge and placed it by his lips to test the temperature before sending it to Yiqing Luo's lip. Yiqing Luo's face turned red. Just as she was about to reject, that spoonful of porridge had already entered her mouth. The fragrant porridge had a faint taste of minced meat. It was sticky and refreshing. One mouthful, and Yiqing Luo instantly felt her appetite was aroused. The next spoonful of porridge had already been sent over. Yiqing Luo didn't argue any further. She opened her mouth and received that spoonful of porridge. One fed, one ate. Very quickly, the bowl of porridge was emptied. Dmo Xian placed the bowl by the side as his slender fingers brushed past her lips, helping her to wipe them. Do you still want more? He asked. Yi Qing Luo shook her head as her eyes were filled with smiles. I'm full. Dmo Xian smiled faintly as he approached the bedside and took her into his arms once again. The familiar scent of sandalwood lingered in his nose. Yi Qing Luo snuggled into his arms. He enjoyed the tranquility and warmth very much. She and Dmo Xian had not been like this for a very long time. They just quietly embraced each other, quietly accompanying each other. Such a simple happiness. That was the greatest happiness. The night was deep. Their necks were intertwined. Tonight, Dmo Xian was not as anxious as yesterday. He has no excessive behavior. Initially, Yi Qing Luo was still on tenterhooks, wondering if Dmo Xian would transform again. In the end, Dmo Xian only gently kissed her forehead and hugged her to sleep. This made Yi Qing Luo not used to it. Logically, she was the one who had been eaten clean last night and was now lying in bed for an entire day. The one with her hands and feet tied should be her. Why was it that Dmo Xian was so well behaved instead? In the afternoon, when Dmo Xian went to get her food, who did he bump into? Or did he seek knowledge in this area from someone to popularize it? So now, his heart ached for her. Couldn't bear to let her be in so much pain that she couldn't get up? Don't let your imagination run wild. Dmo Xian's broad palm covered Yi Qing Luo's hair. If you don't quieten down and can't control yourself, then don't blame me for not suppressing myself. Yi Qing Luo's face turned red. I didn't say anything,